What is up, everyone? Welcome back to some more Higurashi. In the previous recording, we wrapped up chapter 4, and I loved it. I thought it was phenomenal. It got me very excited to see the back half of the story. And today we will be starting chapter 5, but first, I had to break a little early last time due to a lack of time, and I didn't get to see the all-cast review session for chapter 4, so we're going to watch that first.
この度は日暮の泣く頃に睡暇つぶしをプレイしてくださり誠にありがとうございます。
So I'm curious, because normally with the all-cast review session, like, is it going to include also the characters that weren't a part of this chapter, or is it like just the characters that were a part of this chapter?
いやいや、なんだかんだと言いましても、今回のシナリオは私の独壇場でしたからね。
I don't know about that, big dog.
しかも渋いジャズ調なテーマ曲まで追加。これで笑えなきゃどこで笑えって言うんですかね。なはははは。
というわけ、大石はそろそろ出過ぎなのですよ。
I've had enough of you.
それどういう意味ですか、リカブカ。
言葉通りの意味じゃーい。あれだけ出番があってここまで出張ろうとは身の程をわきまえないにも程がございましたよ。
Okay, so the whole cast is here. Gotcha.
今回はメインヒロインはリカちゃん以外みんな出番ほとんどなかったからね。
今回は箸休め的なシナリオだからとは聞いてたけど、ここまでメイン勢がないがしろにされるとは思わなかったよ。
ミオンさんはまだいい方ではございません。多少は登場していましたよ。私とレナさんなんか気配も出てきませんですわ。
I couldn't even get a cameo. It's bullshit.
レナはジャケットにも登場してますですからまだマシなのですよ。ということはつまり何ですの？私だけが一人のけ者で出番なしということなんでございますの？ミパー私だけこの扱いはひどいですわ。かわいそかわいそですよ。きっとだんだん扱いが悪くなって最後には脇役に転落しているに違いないのですよ。そんなのあんまりですわ。そんなことないよ。さとこちゃんのことが好きな人だって大勢いるんだもん。そんなひどい扱いになんかならないよね。こんな扱い嫌ですの。きっと次こそ出番がいっぱいあると思うな。
Don't make promises you can't keep, Reina.
元気出してこね。
しかし今回のシナリオはおまけ的なシナリオとは聞いてたけど、実際どうよ。
But is it really?
なんだか随分話がややこしくなったように思うんだけど。
They definitely got interesting, I'll say that.
僕には難しくてよくわかんないお話だったのですよ。
I don't think so.
何しろ信じられなかったのが連続開始事件が起こる前の年にもうリカちゃんがそれを知っていたなんて。
Honestly, I didn't find that too hard to believe. Like, even if we, like, remove the supernatural element of it, like, I still think it's possible that, like, all of this shit was actually predetermined, and, like, they decided that these specific targets would be the best ones to take out, and then, for whatever reason, that's the thing, whatever their grand scheme is, I can't possibly point my finger as to what that could be, as to why these specific people need to go. I'm thinking that's probably something that, we'll get some more answers to later on, but it wouldn't surprise me if, like, Rika, while just, exploring, looking around, doing whatever, or just sitting in on these Sonozaki meetings, happened to fucking stumble on, like, this plan to where, like, these people in particular were gonna be the next targets.
って ことはつまり全ての事件は最初から予定されたシナリオってことに。これはかなり大きい情報だよ。
僕がきっと巫女なので、お社様のお告げで未来が分かったに違いないのですよ。
人間犯人説の私としてはそれは真っ先に否定したいところだな。
レナはたたり派なんで、ひなみ沢を見守るお社様の生まれ変わりであるリカちゃんにそういう神通力もひょっとするとあったんじゃないかなって思うな。
ああ、ダメダメ。人間派はそういう得体の知れないファンタジーは一切認めないの。事件は全て人間の仕業。たたりも魔法もイカサマもズルも一切なし。
Or aimbots or cheat codes.
僕は魔法とか使えたら素敵だと思いますのですよ。リカちゃんならなんとなくそういうのが使えてもいいかなって思うな。
まあ人間派にとっては最後の最後でとにかくこれはでかい情報だね。
True.
最初の事件からリカちゃんが殺され大災害に至るまでが全てシナリオ。つまり丸々一つの事件だったってことが分かるだけで推理材料は格段に増えるんだから。
レナはこの予言こそつまりリカちゃんが神通力を使える証拠。つまりひなみ沢村には不思議な力が存在するんだってことの証拠になると思ってる。人間だけに起こせる事件じゃないことの証明になるんじゃないかな。僕は頭がこんがらがってわかんないです。
そうだそうだ、それよりもさ、今回リカちゃんが見せたあの表、なんだか怖かったな。
みーレナも驚いたな。可愛らしいリカちゃんがあんな笑い方をするとは思わなかったよ。
ねえ、ちょっともう一回あの顔をしてみせてよ。
嫌なこったなのですよ。レナも劇中以外ではしてほしくないな。はう。うわ、なに停電かな。全員動くなでございます。変な動きをしますとバルカン一斉射撃から誘導ミサイル連射、そしてとどめにレーザーサーベルめった切りをお見舞いしましてよ。
さとこ、これは何の真似？
出番なし軍団、これよりお疲れ様会を占領させていただきましたよ。
なんだか素敵な登場をありがとう。改めまして皆さん、こんに。
いやー、まさかこんなところで出番があるとはな。思わぬ出番が嬉しいよ。さとこちゃん、ありがとう。
皆さんこんにちは。あらあら、身動きなさらない方がいいと警告しましたよ。
竜宮さん、大丈夫ですか？王女さん、ここまでやらなくても。
出番がなかった恨みは恐ろしいんですのよ。本編の分までサトコが大活躍なのです。
出番なしの恨みってはくそー、いつの間にこれだけのトラップを。
ここがお疲れ様会の会場に選ばれた。その時点ですでに私のトラップにかかっていたということになるんではありませんの？
そうか、あんたの後ろで糸を引いているやつがいるね。いるんでしょ？出てきなさい。ハロロン、マイシスター、ごきげんよう。
しーちゃんだ。
Told you not to
同
move.
じ罠に二度もかかってかわいそうかわいそうです。
やっぱりシオンか。何気に主役張ったシナリオまであるのにこの狼藉？あんたやってくれるじゃないの。怪盗編前の折り返しおまけシナリオとはいえ、お姉だけに出番を許すほど私も寛大じゃないってことです。
You're not generous at all, quite honestly.
まあそんなわけでちょっとサトコを焚きつけさせてもらいました。シオン、あんた何が望みなの？安全圏の確保とでも言いますか。昨今ですね、 どういうわけかお姉がじりじりと票を伸ばしてるんですよね。
Yeah, because she's so much better than you.
共通ルートのみーちゃん萌えって意見が開発陣の間でも結構多いんだよ。
恋路の悪いあんたのボロが出てプレイヤー処刑はやっと私の魅力に気づいてきたってことだね。
These are facts.
さとこもたたり殺しで高評価らしいし、
Also facts.
レナやリカちゃんには根強い固定票があるし、
Also facts.
あんたの人気もとっくに陰ってるってことだね。
Good. Glad to hear it.
そういうわけで不穏に票を伸ばすお姉やさとこをここいらで一つ叩き落としておこうと思いまして、こういう大仕掛けを打たせてもらったというわけ。
シオンさん、私も叩き落とすですって？
おちびちゃんは気づくのが遅いようで。そら！
にゃにゃにゃ
さよならレギュラーの皆さん、こんにちは。イレギュラーの皆さん、あんたたちメインヒロインはこれでおしまいです。
シオンちゃん、そこまでやらなくてもいいんじゃないかな。
まあまあ、ジローさん、面白いからほっときましょうよ。私たち二人の出番がいっぱい増えるのよ。
Oh.
ジローさんは私と一緒。いや、
あ
Ahaha. Ahaha.
そんなことないよ。
Ahaha.
先生までしーちゃんに買収されちゃったんで。
ごめんね、リュウ。シオンさんが次回のシナリオからは教えて千恵先生のコーナーを作ってくれるっていうからつい。
さあ、誰から恥ずかしい大仕掛けを手伝ってくれたお礼に、さと
それは許しませんよ。ト
監督、なんだか珍しく頼もしく見え
For
ますわ。
once.
さとこちゃんに対する狼藉は私入江京介が許すわけにはいきません。私も脇役一派ではありますが、懐柔できると思わないことですよ。
ありゃ、この後に収録予定の実録さとこメイド教育着せ替え編の主役は降板したいと。
シオン様、この入江一生どこまでもついてまいります。
怪獣早っ。さあ、これで全て私の支柱ですね。これからはお疲れ様会もシナリオも全て私の思うままに進めさせてもらいますね。あれ、一人足りない。
シオン様、竜宮さんが今いつの間に抜け出したのか。
Yes. My goat.
いた、竜宮。さっき身動きしてはいけませんって言ったはずですよ。
レナちゃん、悪いことは言わない。抵抗しない方が無難だよ。
レナ、悪いけどこんなやり方おかしいと思います。
それは何のメアカシ編の台本？なるほど。登場回数を削られる前に確保しておこうという魂胆ね。無駄な抵抗を。
レナさん、無駄な抵抗はよしておとなしくした方がいいと思います。私をあんまり怒らせるとあなただけでなくお姉たちの台本を確保したくらいじゃ、レナ、ここは悔しいけど言う通りにした方が。
大丈夫、安心して。このメアカシ編の台本が加わったことでレナたちはこの逆転、一体どんな秘策があるというんですの？
レナさんは結構笑なら試してみたら、その逆転ってやつを試しに見せてく。
しーちゃんは甘えて本編にいくら出番がなかったからってこうしてお疲れ様会でこれだけの出番を得ているのに。
Yes, get her ass.
私がいつ甘えたって言うんです？
しーちゃんは分かった。とえお疲れ様会だけといえども出演し、そんなしーちゃんをね、許すことができない地獄の怨嗟がほら聞こえてこない？そうわかりましたわ。
そうか、ケイちゃんか。そうだよね、お疲れ様会はいつも出番なし。そのケイちゃんを差し置いてお疲れ様会占領なんてケイちゃんが許すはずがない。なるほど。で、その未だに収録居残り、まさか ケイちゃんを私たちの誰かが追い抜いたわけでもある。
そう思うのがしーちゃんの慢心だよ。
いけない。あれは赤坂編の収録ワード数票。千恵先生、レナちゃんを取り押さえて。
もう遅いよ。いよいよ出番だよ。
その声はケイちゃん？まさかケイちゃんは収録居残り中のはず。
そうさ、収録居残りのたびに残りワード数で誰かを抜けばお疲れ様会に参加してもいいよと。それでも他のキャラと比べても2倍あるいは3倍以上もある分というか、最初から参加させる気ないだろと思って諦めてきたが、ついに俺は抜いた。シオン、これを見やがれ。
え？
そう、主役として登場パターンが増えたシオンは当然喋るワード数もこれまでの2倍。
Oh god, no. No, it's not worth it. I don't want to hear her speak twice as many lines as she's had so
し
far.
かもミオンとキャストが同じだからさらに2倍。
True.
その結果、俺はようやくついに居残り免除。そしてシオン、
私次の目明かしでこんなに喋るんだ。ケイちゃんが約500、シオンは2700超え。
God damn it, no.
これ普通のアドベンチャーゲームなら全キャラの総合係数だよ。
Oh, don't say that.
しかもこれにその数やなんと。聞きたくない
というわ。レナ、感謝するぜ。月にすら見放され真の闇が地上を覆いしとき、漆黒の魔王前原慶士降臨。
I see. If it's like this, he can appear even if he doesn't have any character art. There's no character or background art, so it's really easy on the production staff. Oh yeah.
シオン、まるで自分が悲劇の主人公みたいな振る舞いだったが、少しいい気になりすぎたみたいだな。お疲れ様会の常に居残りになって色々の一杯にすらありつけなかった俺の怒りを、恨みを、悲しみを今こそ教えてくれるぜ。
なんだかケイチくん悪の化身みたいだな。
化身じゃない、魔王と言ってもらいたいぜ。そして俺が抑圧された悪夢の中で手に入れた闇の力は、俺による俺のために作り出したこの闇の世界では。
ケイチくんなんだか怖いな。
怖い怖い日暮らしの時間はもう終わりだぜ。ここからはポップでキュートで萌え萌えな日暮らしが始まるのだ。なんですって。前原様、ぜひ私もお供に。監督は分かってるじゃねえか。じゃあお医者な監督をしもべに迎えた第一弾として我が魔力を見せよう。
Now, okay, I know what that word means in the Latin sense, but do not call him Dr. Cum Coach, alright?
なんなの？
高野さんがミニスカなナースさん。しかもピンクとかのギャルゲー的な色じゃない。分かってる。ちゃんと清楚な純白だ。
He knows what he's doing.
ナースさんの分際で本編で一度もナース服を着ないとは。さーてと次の標的。
レナ、これじゃ全然形勢は逆転し、新しいピンチを迎えちゃってるよ。
こんな真っ暗じゃレナにもどうしようもないよ。
さーて、手堅く制服、体操服、すく水の三段コンボでも決め。
前原様、最高っす。その後はバニーさんにコンパニオンに。いえいえ、レオタード姿もいいですね。いやいや、いっそみんなお色気全開。もちろん靴下は残すのであります。
おお、それいい。分かってるじゃねえか。監督、
I mean, I can't deny he do know his stuff.
俺やっとあんた
Leaving
と
the
打ち解け
socks
られた
on,
気がするぜ
goated move.
いえいえ前いえ私のことはこれからはイリーとドクターイリーとお呼びよけ
僕たちのことも忘れちゃ
トミーとクラウドも常に K のそばにありますよ。
Tommy and Cloud. Tommy and Cloud. Hell yeah.
トミークラウドついに揃ったぜ四天王ここに見参だ
ついに K を筆頭に悪の四天王が揃い踏み暗黒を得てついに地上に降臨を果たした漆黒の魔王。その魔力は絶大。この闇では誰にも立ち向かえ屈するほかない。ああヒロインたちはこの闇を抜け出せず魔王たちの思うがままに永遠に等身大着せ替え人形の扱いをされてしまうの最高だぞっていうか福水はちゃんと旧タイプだろうな。
Of course, the narrator being a guy has to be like, oh, by the way, like, you're doing the proper school swimsuit, right?
競泳型だったら許さんぞ。
たくシオン、あんたのせいでこうなったんだから。大丈夫です。暗闇の中で真の力を得るのは。
そんな都合のいい見方。
チョコザイナその先シオンちなみに校長先生を期待してるな男子本家一個男たる者最善を尽くすべしともちろん新登場の赤坂昨日からお嬢さんを親類に預けて夫婦水入らずで温泉旅行だそうだからなつまり八方塞がりってわけさ
甘いですね、安易に闇の世界を生み出して妄想全開スチャラか万歳ってやってしまうととあるというわけで知恵先
そういうわけです。
真っ暗でよく見えませんけど、なんだか知恵先生の服装が変わってますわね。何ですの？あの両手にいっぱいの剣は。まさかそんな、それはいくらなんでも反則。それ以上は内緒なのですよ、ニパ
ー。前原少し置いたが過ぎた。これ以上は教会も見逃せません。
ちょっと待てよこれはないだろおいこんなのなしパワーそのでかいのはまずいって早すぎるあんたその動きは絶対人間やめてるだろや
Jesus fuck. Wow. It's just mad goofy.
改めましてこんにちは。この度は日暮の泣く頃に水暇つぶしをお楽しみくださり誠にありがとうございました。
Yeah, no, I've definitely heard that plenty. This is technically not a game, so.
プレイヤーの皆さんにはこの謎に満ちた物語をさまざまな角度から捉え、例えば劇中に散りばめられた謎について推理をし、それを発表して反響を得たりすることもまた楽しいかと思います。
That is an interesting, take. You enjoy the mystery the most before things start getting revealed. Honestly, I mean, I guess there's some truth in that. I don't know. Part of the enjoyment does come from like learning the truth of the matter. In certain instances, like I said, this game's sequel with Umineko, that's a very unique experience where it's like the fact that you don't learn the whole truth, it's not like given to you, is part of like the appeal of that story by the time you get to the end of it. But that's a very unique case in and of itself. Typically with a mystery story, like as the reveals are happening, even if they were like very predictable reveals, if they're done well, it's still very, very enjoyable, very exciting. If you have play joyous both the start. Hell yeah. That is an interesting take. Definitely a much goofier all-cast review session than we've ever seen. Like, honestly, sometimes they get a bit goofy, sure, but that's definitely one of the goofiest. All right, so now it's time for Chapter 5. Time to begin the answer arcs of this story. Like I said, coming off the tail end of Chapter 4, very excited. Very excited to see how all the things come together. That's the thing. I don't know if I have any like strong theories I'm like attached to, right? To where I'm like, I fully believe this is what it is, or I have a strong feeling this is what it is, right? Like, we know the Sonozakis definitely have some connection to everything. That's been fairly evident since very early on in this story, and especially with the last chapter. But also, was it chapter 3? Chapter 2 or 3 kind of definitely heavily indicated that there were other powers at play besides the Sonozakis, though, right? Or, fuck, for all I know, maybe there's like a rogue faction within the Sonozakis, or, after Oryo passes away, like, if it's something like what happens with Kinzo no Mineko, where like Oryo has passed away, but like that news hasn't broken, and like no one actually knows that she's no longer there, and Mion's just kind of acting on her own, is something I've been sitting on. And the idea that Mion, and I think it seems kind of clear from chapter 4 that Mion herself definitely wants to do things differently than the way her grandmother does them. It seems like Mion is more in line with her father's ideals than with her grandmother's ideals, right? At least that's the vibe I kind of got. But in one of the previous chapters, they heavily implied that there's a different power other than the Sonozakis in play, right? Because they said, like, it seems like, all the previous incidents, they seem, very calculated, very planned, but everything that's been happening on the 5th year that we've seen in chapters 1 through 3 seems very messy, very rushed, doesn't seem very planned out. And they're implying that's more than likely the work of someone else, that there's another power at play that's also doing something. And that's the thing, I started to suspect, like, Oishi is involved in these things, but from what we saw in chapter 4, it seems like he is and isn't, right? It's like he knows the Sonozakis were releasing the kid, but also he didn't know the whole truth of everything that was happening in Hinamizawa, right? Because once Akasaka reveals that, like, Urika knew all this shit was going to happen, she predicted it all, that there was something much bigger going on there, that perhaps, the gas explosion was intentional. It seems like Oishi also wanted to get to, like, the truth of the matter, so it doesn't seem like Oishi is completely in the know either, even if he is also on the Sonozaki payroll, or was at one point. And I definitely feel like Reina herself has... There's something about her. There's something about Reina where I'm like, I'm pretty sure there's some... She's involved in something. I'm not sure what, but like... As much as I love Reina, I'm like 100% sure she's involved in something. That's the thing, I can only say something. I don't quite know. And then there's Rika and all the shit that comes with Rika being who she is. Like, I don't quite know what to quite know what Rika's role in everything is either. That's the thing. I feel like I'm sitting here, I don't have like a solid theory that wraps the whole mystery all together, right? I feel like I'm sitting here with puzzle pieces, but I don't quite know how to make them fit, right? Or I don't know which puzzle pieces don't go to this puzzle and need to be taken out so that I can see the bigger picture. That's kind of where I'm at. I don't have like a full grasp on like the situation. I don't even have like a theory that fully grasps the situation. I just kind of have bits and pieces. So I think without further ado, let's jump into chapter 5. Let's try to bring this puzzle together. Meakashi, beloved cutthroat. Eye-opening chapter. Welcome to the world of Higurashi when they cry Kai. We finally reached the halfway point. From the viewpoint of the protagonist, try to find the truth behind the tragedy that unfolds. The difficulty is very high. It won't be easy to comprehend the motive of the perpetrator. Okay. Try to find the truth behind the tragedy that unfolds. Okay. This arc includes choices that result in dialogue changes and bad ends. Nah, PC. She dropped her beads in the sand, so the girl cried for 100 years. The girl searched the sands. They might be in the ocean, not the sand, so the girl cried for 100 years. The girl searched the ocean. They might be in the mountains, not the ocean, so the girl cried. How many years will pass before the girl wonders if she really dropped them? Ooh. This is a work of fiction. Any resemblance? Entirely coincidental. Of course. 7 keys were attached to the keychain. Without knowing which key was the correct one, I had to go by instinct and try every key, one by one. On average, I'd reach the correct key within 3.5 attempts. I'd be fortunate if I could open the lock with the first 3 keys, and I'd be unfortunate if I didn't. I had to think of the worst case scenario, getting the right key only on the very last attempt. I fought with my nervousness, my head ached from it. I put the key in and turned it. I just needed to repeat that small procedure several more times, but I couldn't stop shaking. Damn. Even a 3-year-old kid can do something this easy. So am I more childish than a 3-year-old? Whatever. I don't care if I'm clumsy. I just need to try all these keys. Even in the worst case scenario, the lock will open on the 7th try. Reality isn't always the same as math. What happened was worse than my worst case scenario. None of the keys worked at all. I could feel the blood draining from my brain. Did I get the wrong set of keys? No, I definitely see a faint marking that says this set is for the door. Am I just reading it wrong? Should I go back to the key cabinet to look for the right one? That would mean a great loss of time. Just by being here, I'm already risking so much. Something that could ruin everything might happen any moment. If I can't open this lock, do I have to go back to the administration office? If there were no other choice, it'd be a waste of time to spend another second here. The administration office wouldn't necessarily be empty at this time. Somebody might come in. I won't be able to look for the right key if that happens. I stood up quickly as if electrified. I was almost in a panic, and so felt the urge to move. My instinct pushed me. I have to go back there as quickly as possible. It's dangerous to be here, and it's also dangerous if somebody comes into the administration office. I cooled my head, making it as chilly as possible to repress my fear. Calm down, Shion. Me don't want to panic in this situation. Maybe I'm just mistaken. Why don't I try the keys one more time? Next moment, I felt a faint vibration in the air. Somebody was walking somewhere in the hallway. For a normal situation, I would have known I wouldn't run into them, since the footsteps were very far away. At the time, I couldn't think calmly. Ah, shit. Why am I panicking this much just because of footsteps? Calm down, calm down. I should be feeling excited instead. Calm down, calm down. Just need to do what I have to do. I should ignore the footsteps because they're not an immediate threat. Pretend they aren't there. I have to listen for something much more important right now. Ah, shit. This key should be hard and cold, but it's pliable and hot. It feels like rubber. How could I stick this into the keyhole? Shit. It wasn't the key that was pliable. It's my fingers that were limp. Ah, shit. The key sprung out of my hand and fell to the floor. Shouldn't have made any sound, because it was so pliable, but it made a tremendous metal noise if somebody pushed over a cupboard. The sound almost stopped my heart. I felt dizzy for a while. I looked around afterwards to carefully see if I caused any disturbance to the surroundings. Calm down. Nothing's changed. I don't hear anything. So, am I safe? Calm down. Wait, I don't hear anything? What about those footsteps in the distance? Calm down. Are they looking for me after they notice the sound? Ah, shit. What is that sound I'm hearing? Is my sweat dripping on the floor? Shut up. How could I hear the sound of my sweat? Calm down. Calm the fuck down. I have to clarify. This isn't a prison or a detention center. Oh yeah, I was kind of thinking you were like sneaking into a school building. It's a private school, yep. Kind of figured. That's definitely the vibe I got. Not a normal one though. It costs a fortune just to get in. It's a boarding school that provides education from elementary school to university. Being for girls only rather than a school, you could say it's a factory that manufactures ladies. Some of my classmates here have never even used public transportation. Really, it isn't normal. To me, saying how nice to see you instead of just hi is already insane. And calling the teachers sisters gives me the creeps. I hate the morning and evening prayers, to say nothing of the Sunday Mass. I don't want to memorize the Bible passages, and the Holy Ghost gives me a rash. If I stayed in this institution, that's what I call the place, for many years, I'd either go crazy or be brainwashed. Most of the girls chose to be brainwashed, but I can't do that. After all, I was more impressed by the political schemes and international trade behind religious propagation than by the love of God which the Bible teaches. Because of that, I'd been treated as a problematic child from the beginning. I'd experienced lots of disadvantages as a result. I realized that quickly, so I superficially pretended to be normal. However, I got tired of acting, so I started to reveal my true self from time to time. I became a problematic child once again. People started to treat me differently once again. It's fun to misbehave, but it wouldn't do anything for me in the long run. So why did I act that way? Why, even though I knew it was going to backfire on me later on? After examining my emotions, I realized I completely had it with my surroundings. I was afraid of being brainwashed in this institution. I can't live here. I won't let them brainwash me. 6 months ago, I decided to escape this place. The moment I made up my mind, I started to feel alive again. I acted ladylike in order to deceive the sisters. Pretending became fun once I'd set my goal. It gave me the creeps when they told me with smiles that it was God's influence I started to behave religiously. I laughed at them behind their backs. I took on my classmates' duties in order to understand the layout of the school and the schedules of the staff and guards. I soon found out that the security of the school was immensely tight because there were many daughters of important people living there. The guards walked their beat randomly. There were surveillance cameras everywhere. The system that kept out intruders, ironically, also worked to prevent escapees. But that excited me instead. I simulated how to avoid all the surveillance in my head many times. I drew an escape route in the corner of my notes during class and tested it if it worked. I strove to acquire any necessary skills for the escape. It was all fun. After all, the situation was cathartic for me. That's who I am. No matter how hard they tried to brainwash me, I'd never change. I'd been waiting for the moment of my escape, preparing physically and mentally. First, I needed the courage to escape. I had to be confident of the plan. I had to think deeply about it. I also needed skills and physical strength. I imagined all the possible obstacles and trained myself. It was funny because I was finally able to enjoy gym classes, even the long-distance runs. I needed a perfect plan, as well as the physical strength and skills necessary to execute it. Also, supported by those things, I needed determination. I made sure that I had all I needed and executed the plan. I decided to plant a seed in school before the appointed day. The seed was a rumor that one of the male teachers was having a relationship with a student. I won't go into details now, but that could turn into an enormous problem in the school. The school is limited to girls precisely because their parents want to avoid these kind of problems. Those parents are mostly important people from various positions. If the romance was a fact and was leaked to the public, the principal would have to commit suicide in shame. In fact, even that might not be enough. In the world of girls, rumors spread fast, especially when they're separated from boys and are obsessed with dirty thoughts. So this kind of rumor goes around really quickly. The sisters try to get rid of that kind of rumor, and they warn the students not to be swayed by it. But apparently they're the ones who are most swayed by those rumors. This means that I managed to make them furtively deal with something shady without contacting families or the authorities. So if I disappeared in these circumstances, it looked like I ran away with some teacher. All the male teachers would deny it, of course. However, the school wouldn't believe what they said so easily. After all, there's a dirty rumor going around. By the time the school finds out about my escape, after they eliminate all the other possibilities, I'll be somewhere safe. I tried hard to spread the rumor that I was involved in the forbidden romance as widely as possible. The sisters questioned me a few times, but since the romance was something I'd made up, they couldn't find anything. No matter how hard they tried, they couldn't find any evidence. After 3 months, I was certain that I created a solid foundation. I swapped after-dinner duties with my classmates so that I could adjust my schedule on this day. I was even able to fill them with suspicion about me doing that. Now they'll definitely suspect I ran away with some male teacher. Tonight was the night. I began my chores after dinner. After lights out, somebody will find out about my disappearance. My generous roommate would probably wait about 10 minutes before she reported me to a sister, but no longer than that. I had about an hour tops. That's enough for me. I took a step off my regular route. That was the first step towards my great escape. I calmed down and thought, the key shouldn't be wrong. This lock is old and firm. Isn't it possible that I put the right one in, but the lock was just stiff and I only thought I got the wrong one? I realized that my nervousness was making me clumsy. The gloves that I'm wearing to avoid leaving fingerprints must be getting in the way too. Let's try the keys one more time. I picked the most probable one, gently inserted it into the keyhole. It's stiff. If I twist it too strongly, I might break the key. The moment I thought of giving up, I felt something in my fingertips. The key worked. I slowly opened the door. I could hear the crickets. I have to hesitate now, but somehow I'm reluctant to step outside. I can still make excuses up to this point. It might look awkward, but I still can. But if I take a step outside now, there can be no excuse. If the guards find me, they'll take me to the office immediately. There have been escape attempts before. That's not really so strange. I don't think I'm the only heathen here. It's understandable that there have been people before who couldn't fit in this place. So the school is well aware of the possibility of escapees. I've heard rumors about what happened to those who were caught while attempting to escape. I don't want to believe any of those stories, though. You see, all the school's horror stories involve students who attempted escapes. Whatever. Bring it on. Ooh. I'm not expecting to get a second chance anyway. There'll always be only one chance. Things get serious beyond this door. I psyched myself up and pushed the door open. A strong smell was hanging in the air. Is that normal for the outside? I've never smelled this strong grassy smell before. Is there something going on? Do I have to be wary of it? Should I go back and wait for another chance? That's silly. There's nothing strange going on. The smell is something I smell every day. I just wasn't aware of it. It's true, isn't it? Even though I pretend to be cool, I'm nothing but a nervous wreck. Calm down. Calm down, Shion. I can rely only on the map inside my head from this point onward. I'd researched the locations of all the surveillance cameras. I'm confident that I'll be able to avoid all of them. But I'm not sure about the guards. They pick their patrol routes randomly, after all. I have to take a chance. I can hide myself in most places. There's an area where there's nowhere to hide for several meters. I concentrated to keep my senses keen. Well, I have to depend on my luck in the end. Even if I do my best, the guard might find me by mere chance. On the contrary, I might be able to get away no matter how unwisely I choose to move if I'm lucky. Damn. For all that effort, it just boils down to luck? This is a gamble after all. When I realized that, I got excited. Yes, this is a gamble. I'm trying my luck. This is a game to test the determination to change my life. If somebody failed to escape from this school, that meant they didn't have enough luck to survive in the real world. But I'm different. I'm going to get out of here. I'm testing my luck. Here goes, Shion. I ignored the noisy bugs and concentrated only on suspicious sounds. I heard no threats. The loudest sound wasn't the bugs. It was my own heartbeat. Even my own footsteps were so loud they could break my eardrums. With each and every step, my overactive imagination tormented me with premonitions of unexpected run-ins with guards. Countless times that torture grew too hard to bear and I thought of running. But if I broke into a run, the noise I made would only draw suspicion. If anyone heard running at a time and place where people shouldn't be, they would realize something abnormal was happening. But if the footsteps they heard were just walking, they'd likely think nothing of it. Of course, I don't plan on even letting them hear those footsteps. I tried to extend my senses to get as much information as possible. I didn't sense anyone's presence. I might have felt safer if I heard a guard in the distance. I'm worried that my senses might not be keen enough to detect everything. Somebody might be right behind me without me being aware of it. I didn't want to make any noise, so I stopped from time to time. It looked no different than if I was frozen in fear. To stop or to run. Something within urged me to choose from either one. I can't choose to stop. I have to keep going quickly and stealthily. I'm already risking so much just by being here. Running, of course, would be absurd. Ah, I know that. The urge to run continued to bug me. My head was filled with those thoughts as I went through this dangerous territory. I succeeded in passing through without running into anybody. I couldn't help but sit for a moment and exhale the rotten air from my lungs. My negative thoughts vanished quickly. Just a little more to go. Just a little more. Just through that bush over there is the fence that separates this place from the outside world. Once again, I strongly felt the urge to run. I suppressed that desire and carefully tackled the final step. The beautiful looking fence didn't seem designed to prevent escapes. I was worried that somebody might see me climbing up the fence. It fortunately wouldn't happen. It's even possible that this fence might have a touch sensor. It's too late now. It doesn't mean anything now since I'm already climbing up. From the top, the fence seemed about 7 feet high. I have to go down carefully, just like when I climbed up. I knew that logically, but I couldn't think that way anymore. I chose to jump off with no hesitation. Of course, I regretted my decision during the fall. I got scared because the flight was longer than I expected. I landed beautifully. I fell into my butt. But there's nobody around to laugh, and I didn't have time to be embarrassed. I looked around to see if anybody heard my landing. Even the crickets weren't interested in the sound I made. I felt relieved. I looked at my watch. 5 minutes till 8 p.m. It was just a 15-minute escape. Putting a number to it really made it obvious how short it had been. Looking back, most of the time I was just asking myself questions and hesitating. I guess I worried too much. But I can't be too relaxed just yet. There's no guarantee that I fooled all the cameras. This place isn't a bank. There won't be a fire alarm going off even if the guards did see me. It's possible they're rushing this way right now. Can't enjoy the air of freedom yet. I hid myself in the darkness and waited. There's still time left until the rendezvous. Oh, the rendezvous. Who you meeting up with? Now I'm curious. I watched the school premises while waiting. It looked like nothing strange was going on. The building was lit up, and the beautiful Western-style architecture made it hard to believe that it was a school. It should be armed with electrifying wires, searchlights, and guard dogs like the prison it is. I thought I'd experience a surge of school memories in a situation like this, but it didn't happen. That sort of thing only happens when you have good memories. I have no good memories of this school, so there's nothing to remember. But if I could pick a series of images to recall, it'd be the luxurious dinners we had every night. So my memories would be nothing but international cuisine, Japanese, Chinese, French, and so on. What the hell? That's just too funny. I burst into laughter. At that point, I heard a car approaching. I crouched in the darkness. The plate number is the same as I was expecting. That's the car. I jumped out and rushed to the passenger side, then opened the door and got in.
お勤めご苦労様です、シオンさん。
The driver was a man of early old age. He'd be angry if he heard me say that, though. He thinks he's still middle-aged. He looked at my face and learned that I succeeded. He smiled.
シャバの空気は久しぶり。とにかく今は銀シャリ。
学園では上品なお料理、シオンさんにだけは麦飯が出ていたんですか？
バカ。冗談に決まってる。ほら、笑ってる暇があったらとっととアクセルを吹かす。
はいはい、仰せのままに。
Kasai really did laugh out loud. After telling me to buckle up, he accelerated. The cathedral-like school disappeared from the mirror in an instant. It disappeared so quick that I didn't have time for a surge of dinner memories. Goodbye, my lovely school days. I'm going to fill my stomach with junk food from now on. I'll forever be free from the table manners you taught me. Aha! Serves you right. As we drove, the scenery began to change. Soon we were surrounded by vast fields of crops and few streetlights. It reminded me that this was just the countryside of Japan, not Europe.
お腹は空いてな、どこか飯の食えるところへ。
食事してるからいい。
I lied. I'm actually a bit hungry. I didn't eat much at dinner to avoid slowing myself down with a full stomach. I appreciated Kasai's offer, but I didn't feel like taking the time to eat while we were still in enemy territory.
この時間ですから、高速に上がってしまうとサービスエリアへ寄っても、まあ最近はそうそう、
聞いた話では最近じゃおでんの自販機もあるって
I
話
would
で
not
す。
trust a fucking hamburger vending machine.
はあ、何それ。コーヒーの自動販売機みたいに器がポロッと出てきて、押したボタンの具がボトボトっと落ちてくるわけ？気持ち悪い。
そう、おでんの缶詰になってるそうで。
あ、ごめん、缶詰はパス。
缶詰、もう子供じゃないでしょうに。
嫌なもんは嫌なの。うっさいな。もう何笑ってんの？
Kasai chuckled. He must have been trying to help me relax. Isn't usually so talkative.
私は疲れちゃって、少し寝させてもらい。これリクライニングどうやっ？
そっちの左側の根元を探ってみて。レバーみたいなのがありません。
あったよっこらしょった。
Kasai laughed again.
何か面白いこと？
いえいえ、よっこらしょなんていう若くない言葉遣いがどことなくミオンさんに似ておられたもので。
Well, obviously. Shion and I are identical twins. We're perfect copies of each other. When I react to something, so will Mion. When Mion reacts to something in a certain situation, I'll react the same way.
お姉は元気？
多分元気か。私も親族会議の席に親父さんをお連れするときに少しすれ違う程度ですし。
そっか。お姉はもう実家じゃないんだったね。南沢の鬼ババのとこだっけ？
シオンさんが学園に入られるのと一緒の時期に園崎本家に移られました。
I responded with disinterest, even though I was the one to ask about her in the first place. The main house where Oryo, the current leader of the Sonozaki family, lives. That's my grandma, who I call a hag. But when we use the phrase the main house, that usually means more than just a dwelling. What Kasai refers to is the same thing.
少しは変わった？
ミオンさんがで。
そう。あのばあさんと朝から晩まで顔を合わせてりゃ少しは変わるでしょ。
Kasai chuckled yet again. He knows I hate my grandma.
私が見る限り変わったようには感じません。シオンさんの知っているミオン。
私はどう？私は変わった？
いいえ、全然。
Kasai responded quickly with a smirk. I haven't seen him for a while, though. It's not fun if he answers this quickly. I glared at him, and then he burst out laughing.
全然変わっておられませんよ。あれだけのお嬢様学校に入られたのに。
ちぇー、好きなだけ笑って。私は寝るよ。寝る。
後ろの席に毛布があり、使ってください。
ありがとう。
I grabbed the blanket and rolled up in it. I'm exhausted, but I can't go to sleep. It's strange. Or maybe not. I must be tired from the escape. It's just that I'm still feeling tense. So I have to declare it once again, if only to calm myself.
寝る。私は寝るよ。
はいはい、さっきからもう3回目です。
Yup, I heard you.
それとも私が許可し。
今日のあんたはあんたが少し黙っててくんないと。
失礼しました、姫君。ではしばらく黙らせてもらいます。
This interaction with Kasai reminded me of the old peaceful days in Okonomiya. Well, I don't really know if I can call those days peaceful. We were in the middle of the dam protest back then, after all. We all united together, now that I think about it. We pulled a lot of pretty dangerous stunts. If the authorities ever found out what I did, I'd never escape going to juvie. Well, at least half the people in Yamazawa would be off to prison. We didn't think of them as criminal acts, though. It was a war. Okay. I never actually thought about that, like, Shion helped with the dam protests. I never considered that, honestly. I don't know if she ever mentioned that earlier, that she was actively a part of that, but yeah, didn't know she participated in that. I thought she was like always in Okonomiya. It might also have been a festival. A festival where every person in Namizawa joined together in protest. It was a struggle, but it was also fun. It was fun to throw stones at the riot police with everybody. We hid ourselves in somebody's home when they chased after us. We'd even go crowd around the police station demanding the release of our arrested comrades. When we snuck into the construction site and sabotaged it, it felt more like we were playing at war than conducting one. I got so excited back then. I felt united with my fellow members, even though they were strangers to me. That memory warms my heart. Yes, the way it felt back then was like helping everyone to carry a sacred palanquin through the village, getting all sweaty and exhausted together. Until we all collapsed face first on the ground and shared our excitement and cheers with unfamiliar faces over tea. I was just a kid back then. I remembered accompanying a young men who worked for my dad out to the village to do various bad things. I was arrested a few times. Didn't feel any different, though, than when I was called to the teacher's office for forgetting my homework. The other villagers were furious about the dam project, but for those of us who were kids at the time, it's a pretty fun memory. All that came to a sudden end a few years ago. It wasn't only the power of the protest that ended the dam construction project. The Sonozaki family and my dad's organization had worked secretly in the shadows. This is top secret information in the Sonozaki family, but it said they may or may not have kidnapped the Minister of Construction's grandson in order to blackmail him. The grandson was found a few days after the abduction. He was found in the mountains of Yagoichi. He didn't simply disappear, and he wasn't demoned away. That means some kind of deal was made secretly. A year after that, the dam construction plan was halted indefinitely. The police suspected the villagers' involvement and investigated, but they couldn't find any leads. The villagers never betrayed each other. They'd do anything to protect their fellow man. They fabricated fake alibis and fake evidence. It was easy to deceive the police. Gah. The car suddenly shook, snapping me out of it. Must have run over a bump or something. Suddenly I realized my expression was a very happy one for some reason. Ah. Must be looking forward to going home.
シオンさん、起きてますか？
何？
お帰りですが、沖宮でよろしいですよ。
他にどこに帰んのよ。
I answered straightforwardly with a frown. Kasai then also chose to reply straightforwardly.
シオンさんを全寮制の学園に入学。シオンさんはその学園をどういうことかお分かりですね。
ばあさんの決めた学校が私に合わなかったってだけでしょ。
シオンさん。
わーってる。うっさいな。
As the head of the Sonozaki family, the Hag's decisions are absolute. They're nothing like, say, the 3-second rule. Worse, the decision to confine me to an academy far away from the Sonozaki family was made before I was even born. Oh, do they have some kind of superstition about twins? Did they mention that at some point? Shion was the name they gave me. My sister Mion has a character that means demon in her name. That was to signify that she's the successor of demons. In other words, she would be the successor to the Sonozaki family and its demonic bloodline. My name, Shion, has a character that means temple in it. This means I was destined to take the veil and be confined in a temple. Thinking of that reminds me how much I hate this name of mine. For starters, the person known as Shion is an abominable being to the Sonozaki family. Because it meant the family had 2 heirs. I have to cite the countless historical examples to explain. It's easy to imagine how that could prove troublesome for succession. True. According to our long-held family traditions, one of the twins was to be strangled to death right after birth. Unbelievable, isn't it? What that means is that I have to be grateful just to be alive and breathing to this day. I heard the hag actually put her hands around my neck right after I was born. I don't know what exchange took place in that moment. Maybe some brave relative of mine managed to get her to stop. Or maybe she was in an extremely good mood that day. Don't try to strangle me. We're twins. There are no apparent differences between us. The first one out of my mom's stomach was named Mion, and the second one drew the short straw and got named Shion. Everyone else was desperate to tell us apart, but we sisters just found that awfully ridiculous. There wasn't any difference between us. No one could tell us apart even if we only swapped hats. We wondered why all the grown-ups were trying to see the differences. Well, our fun as twins didn't last forever. One day they created an undeniable, clear distinction between Mion and Shion. Mion went to the main Sonozaki house to live with the hag and learn how to become the successor. That was to be confined at St. Lucia's. I have no objection to Sis's inheritance. I used to be jealous, but now I feel that having to learn about and follow the traditions would just make me tired. I even feel sorry for Mion. So I'm not going to be a threat to the family even if I'm back in Okonomiya. But the hag doesn't seem to think that way. She thinks of me as some kind of evil omen. Okay. So it starts to make a lot more sense as to why, like, they mentioned in previous chapters, Shion, like, moves around a lot. She's always staying at different places, from what I remember, which then makes sense, because I'm sure once they find out she's, escaped the academy, they're always trying to well, that's the thing, if they are trying to send her back, we know she works at a restaurant that's owned by a Sonozaki, so I think at some point they had to have, like, reached an agreement with her, some kind of compromise. That's why she wanted to keep me away from her. That doesn't matter to me. I don't want to see her face either. I don't care if she doesn't allow me to enter Hinamizawa. She can charge me 10,000 yen per step I take there. I want her to let me live in Okonomiya where I grew up. When I was little, I was in Hinamizawa, but I don't remember it much. And I'm not very attached to it. I do have good memories of my elementary school days in Okonomiya. The town isn't very sophisticated, but I kind of like it there.
沖宮の町へ帰れば親族の誰かの目に触れることになります。やがては必ず本家の知るところになります。
ばあさんの耳に入ったらどうなるかってこと？まあそりゃあやばいことにはなるかもね。
お分かりならいいんですがね。
なーにか、あんた今から私に引き返した？
まさかそんなことは私が言いたいの。
相応の覚悟はあるんだろうなって。
口先だけでなく。
そうだろうね。万が一の時は脱走の手伝いをした葛西も責任は免れないだろうしね。葛西も小指に未練があるなら今のうちに小指にいっぱいキスをしておいた方がいいんじゃ。
その時はシオンさんもすまきにされて鬼ヶ淵沼に放り込まれる。あるいは本家離れの秘密部屋送りかも。
I heard there's a big torture room in the main Sonozaki house. I've never seen it though. I heard they used to torture and kill the enemies of the village in there. It's just awful, really. I hope I don't end up as a victim of that place. Yeah, no, that'd be crazy. You wind up in the torture room? I just can't picture it.
はいはい。ま、なんとかなるって。
つくづくシオンさんはあれ、その出たとこ勝負的なところが特にで。
そりゃ似るでしょ。
My dad and mom will be furious if they find out about my escape. I'm more afraid of them than of the hag. I don't want to go into the details, but my dad is part of the Yakuza. He's in charge of the organization which covers this Shishibone area. He's in a very important position. So is Kasai here. He's an old friend of Dad who really trusts him. I don't know if this is true, but I heard Kasai used to be very aggressive, though he's gentle now. I also heard he has tons of scars. He was in charge of a few large areas, but after he was injured badly in a fight, he retired. Now he's my dad's consultant, aka drinking buddy. He was my caretaker in childhood, and now I feel like he's my butler. At first I thought my dad asked him to supervise me, so I hated him. But in time I started to feel like he was on my side. This is just a hunch. I think Kasai used to be in love with my mom. My dad, mom, and Kasai were in a love triangle. Though my dad took the lead in the end. Kasai couldn't leave my mom entirely, so he stayed around as my dad's friend. I can tell that from the way he acts. He's seeing my mom in me. That's why he says I look like my mom every now and then. Kinda gave me the creeps at first, but he isn't a bad guy at all. He's actually pretty funny. I only found out after I got used to him. So when I thought about escaping, I naturally turned to him. I contacted him in an early stage of my plan and arranged to meet him today. You could call him a conspirator. It's not surprising he's worried about my return to Okonomiya. Considering the rules and traditions, cutting off his pinky finger isn't too far from reality. I might be rolled up in a futon mat and thrown into the swamp for real too. Even so, there's only one place for me to return. I'm going to Okonomiya and nowhere else. That's my hometown. This might be a kind of homesickness. I don't care what it looks like.
実際どうするつもりです。園崎一族の目は
まあ最初はのんびり仮に姿を見られたってミオンだって言い張ればいいんだしね。
それから
でほとぼりが冷めてきたら私に近しい親類から徐々に打ち明けていく。私に味方になってくれる人たちだってそこそこにいるからね。私も親父と大喧嘩した時あちこちでいろんな人にかくまってもらったし。
Oh, I see. Interesting. So, Shion's constantly moving around between relatives that she knows she can trust, trying to stay out of sight from her parents. Interesting. But eventually she does return to Hinamizawa, at least from what we've seen in previous chapters. Right? She's like attended the Watanagashi festivals before, right? Which then makes me think lends a bit more credit to Oreo potentially, passing away at some point. Because, like, maybe even if that's the thing. Like, there's kind of a divide between Mion and Shion, but it also feels like maybe there isn't. Maybe it's not as big of a divide as I think there is. Or, like, maybe Shion just happens to find out in some way. She's clearly a crafty little devil. It wouldn't surprise me, like, she manages to fucking pick up this information somehow. that, oh, you know, she catches word that maybe the old hag isn't around anymore. Or maybe she just doesn't have the strength to do much nowadays, so she ends up going back to Hinamizawa knowing that nothing's gonna actually happen to her if she does.
なるほど。味方と既成事実を十分に作り上げてから、最終的には園崎本家にもおめこぼしをもらおうというつもりです。うまくいきますかどうか。
行くって、そもそも私を学園送りにする決定だって、あれは私をやたらと嫌った鬼ババの猜疑心からの決定みたいなもんだ。葛西もそう思うでしょ。
ええ、まあ私もあの決定にはさすがにやりすぎとは思いました。
鬼ババはとっくに更年期障害で正常な思考なんかできなくなってんの。あのダム戦争の興奮で頭がいかれちゃって、まだその時の興奮が抜けきってないんじゃないかな。たく。
Kasai smiled. I can go to sleep after all, even though I was rolled up in a blanket. Even though I told Kasai to shut up, I kept talking to him. In time, I got tired of talking. As I could feel the car run smoothly on the highway, Kasai spoke to me again.
シオンさん、ほら。
I was so tired that I ignored him. I wondered what he wanted me to look at, but I wasn't that interested. It opened my eyes slightly and saw a sign quickly pass by. Kasai probably wanted me to see that sign. It had an illustration of azaleas around the letters that said, "Welcome to Shishibone City. My hometown is coming right up." Oh. That's definitely a new introduction card. Oh, what, we get credits? Opening credits? Yep, there's the club. Oh, Satoshi. Akane Sonozaki? Okay. So we'll see an appearance from Satoshi. Also, whoever Akane is. Akane might be the... Well, no. Akane is probably one of her parents. If I remember correctly, Akane is a female name, but also I get the feeling it might be a gender-neutral name. I don't remember for sure. Might be one of the parents. The Notebook's beginning. What notebook? June 1982. Is that when she broke out? No. Satoshi Hojo disappeared several days after the Watanagashi festival. There are 3 possible reasons for his disappearance. One possibility is that it was an accident. Dead bodies sometimes end up in irrigation channels a few months after hit-and-run incidents. But since the police did a thorough search of the area and hadn't found his body, this possibility seems small. The second possibility is a self-motivated disappearance. Satoshi-kun has been living in dire circumstances. His close friends actually heard him imply he might run away. The police thought he skipped town after killing his aunt. That seemed plausible considering that aspect. But the police arrested another person for the murder, so this hypothesis must also be considered false. The last possibility is that he was involved in the series of mysterious deaths in Hinamizawa. It's also called the Curse of Yashiro-sama. He fell victim to it and disappeared. Unless Yashiro-sama's occult power is actually verified, this curse must be the act of humans. It's only natural to assume that Satoshi-kun was made to disappear by someone's will. So the question is, whose? The possibilities are quite limited. The culprit is either a member of the Sonozaki family, a member of the 3 families, or one of their many relatives. The police can assume that easily. I need to think beyond that. Who did it? How did it happen? And why did it have to be done? I think that's the biggest question. Why did it have to be done? Why did it have to be done? What did Satoshi know? Because the who and how, we can kind of like take some stabs in the dark as to what that might be, but the why of it, that is the biggest question there. Why did it have to be done? Why did Satoshi-kun fall victim? What was the motive? Who gave out that order? Who actually did it? The mastermind, the culprit, and the truth. All are in reach of my grasp. Maybe I'll find them right behind my back. But even so, I can't reach everywhere. There are parts of my back I have to make an effort to reach, clenching my teeth and cracking my joints so the tips of my fingers can barely touch them. The truth is hidden in places like those. That is actually a very interesting analogy. I like it. I'm writing this because I need to organize my thoughts and memories. Nobody will read it other than myself, but if somebody does, that means that either I threw these notes away because I no longer needed them, or I fell victim to the curse of Yashiro-sama in the middle of my attempt to solve the mystery. If it was the former, that's okay, but if it was the latter, please, I want you to help me. Please help this powerless young girl. Interesting. Very interesting. Okay. So it takes place in 1982. The fourth year of the series of mysterious deaths in Yamazawa, also known as the Yashiro-sama curse, 1 year prior to Keiji Maibara's transfer. Yes. I didn't hear a wake-up chime. I'm not in school anymore. My brain is half asleep, and I'm aware of that. Waking up at the same time as the chime would go off at school doesn't feel good. Can't go back to sleep after this. Still, I'm not going to live a torturous school life anymore. I can make today either happy or boring. It's up to me. Yay, that's really positive. I feel like I'm alive for the first time in a while. I didn't have any other clothes, so I was still wearing the school track uniform. It's supposed to have been designed by some famous Italian person, but it just looks plain to me. It really doesn't feel great to still be in clothes from that school. I want to enjoy my freedom as soon as possible. I especially don't want to walk around outside wearing it. I should have Kasai bring me some new clothes later. I should think of redecorating this room. After all, this is going to be my castle from now on. This is a room in a gorgeous apartment building in the suburbs of Okonomiya. The property is one a realtor my dad's conglomerate obtained after foreclosure due to some sort of dispute. Most of the residents moved out during that, so while there are plenty of rooms, it's a lonely complex that feels devoid of people. Plus, with the exception of the manager and a scant of 1 or 2 others, all the residents are shady-looking people connected to my dad. Probably won't be much longer before the virtuous residents are driven out. The apartment I'm living in used to be the room they'd use for viewings, so it looks like a room in a business hotel. It's fully furnished, but lacking in daily necessities. I'll buy those things over time, though.
むしろその方がいいよね。自分の部屋っていう実感が湧くし。
I nodded to myself. Might have looked stupid, but it helped psych me up. At the school, there was a TV only in the common room. We weren't allowed to watch any cable channels, as after all those channels is a form of emancipation. It was early in the morning, so nothing interesting was on. But I enjoyed it anyway. Commercials are fun to watch. Kasai dropped by with lunch right after I started to feel hungry.
シオンさん、昨夜はよく眠れ。
ソファーに毛布でゴロ寝は結構。やっぱ日本人はちゃんと布団敷いて床に寝ないと。たくあんが。
それはよかった。後で必要なものを教えて可能な限り揃えるようにします。
ありがとう。あ、でもそんなに気をつ私の好きで始めたせ。葛西だってたかられたらお財布持たないでしょ。
I have to be serious about my plan. Can't let myself take advantage of Kasai's wallet forever.
バイトでもしようと思います。生活費くらいは私が選んだ生活なんだから。
それはたくましい限り。でもいいんですか？外を歩けばやがては親族の誰かに見つかりますよ。
そこは少しはそこでミオンの力がいるわけよ。葛西さ、本家に電話してもらっていい？ミオンが出たら受話器変わって。
やれやれ、何を企んでるやら。どういう作戦ですか？
Interesting. Okay. So she makes a plan with Mion. So as long as we've known, Mion has been aware that Shion escaped and is working in the city. Interesting. It's funny to me that we're calling the main house, even though that's the place I most want to avoid at the moment.
もしもし。
おはようございます。ミオンさんですか？ご無沙汰しています。ええ。おはようございます。少しお待ちいただけます。今受話器を代わります。
I take the handset.
もしもし。私が誰だかわかる。その声でもそんなはずは。シオンはセントルチーア学園に。そんなはずはな。学園では外部との電話はそれが電話してきたってことを。血の巡りの悪いお姉でも意味がわかるでしょ。
Jesus Christ, get to the point.
あんた学園抜けどうやって。
そんなことはどうでもいい。会いたかったですよお姉。
That was as far as I could take it, and Mion had hit her limit too. We both burst into laughter, unable to keep up our act. It's been a while since we laughed out loud with each other like this.
久しぶりだよシオン。あんた本当にどうしたの？
どうしたもこうしたも。別に私は嘘を吐いて。
じゃああんた本当に脱走したの？やる。
Great job.
私を閉じ込めておくにはちょっと警備が甘く。
学園はシオンが穏便に脱走したことに本気のシオンだったら全施設を爆破してから脱走するくらい。
爆破はできないけど放火くらいはやるかもね。
Kasai smiled at us in amazement, his face a blend of amusement and exasperation.
おね、今は電話大丈夫なの？
大丈夫。バッチャはお稽古に行っちゃってる。今日は帰りは夕方になるって言ってた。
それはこっちかいうちに会って話をし。とりあえず今日のところは電話で。
うん。
本家に学園から私が脱走したっていう
いや、来てない。本家の電話も来客も全部私が通すから、私を素通りしてバッチャに連絡行くことはない。だから来てないって断言。
ほう、そりゃすごい。さすが園崎本家次期当主。
私はそんなの嫌だよ。
鬼がついてるのはお姉でしょ。まあせいぜい頑張ってください。陰ながら応援いたしております。まあそんなことはどうでもいいや。
すごい一言。まあいいや。
私関連で何か動きがあったら葛西に連絡をよろです。ここの番号はお姉には教えてもいいかなと思う。ごめん。
そうだね。学園脱走したって話がバッチャの耳に入ったら連絡の件は了解。何か動きがあったら葛西さんに伝えとく。
ありがとうです。それとあと、
そう来ると思った。あ、お金は無理だよ。
さすがにお金を無心で。お姉にはちょっと私のバイトのお手伝いをお願いしたい。
なるほどね。そういうことか。で、具体的にはどうするの？
We can communicate fast in a situation like this. We don't have to get into details because we know what's on each other's minds.
吉郎おじさん、私の味方だったじゃないで。吉郎おじさんの持ってるお店のどれかでバイトできないか打診してみ。で、シフトが決まったらお姉に連絡しますから。
あんたがバイトしてる時間帯には消えてりゃいいわけだね。
I see, I see. Okay. That's why Mion's always like, yeah, I gotta go help my uncle with my part-time job. Yeah, I gotta go help my uncle, and really she's just like fucking off for a few hours while she goes and works. Not a terrible plan.
めんどくさい役だな。
何ですかおね。双子の妹の頼みを断る？本当に？
いいよいいよ、引き受けるよ。あんたの頼みは断ると後が嫌だ。
サンキューです。今度シュランクベルタのケーキでもおごるから。可愛いタルト山ほど食べさせてあげます。
あ、シオン、シュランクベルタね。
え？あ、そうなん。
マスターが脳梗塞で退院してから一度はやっぱり体が持たないらし惜しまれたけど。
そっか、そりゃあ残念。欲張りモンブランをお腹いっぱい食べる夢はもう夢のままで終わっちゃったんですね。
I was disappointed that my favorite cake shop had closed down. More so that this town had changed without my knowing while I was gone. It was kind of regrettable.
他にも変わったこと。
いくつかある。今度会ったら全部話すね。
ありがとう。私も学園で見てきたこと、近いうちに機会を設けましょう。追ってこっちからわか
った。
ミオン？
何？
元気でやってる？
もち
ろん。ならよかった。切るよ。
じゃあね。
It's really been a while since I last talked to her. Put down the phone and heaved a sigh as Kasai brought in some tea.
結局、
吉郎おじさん、私のことを可愛がっててくれたじゃない？おじさんにね、私が学園を抜け出してきたので、おじさんの持ってるお店のどれかで支え。
人目に吉郎さんはいいとしても、
そのためのお姉って、私が働く時間が決まった。で、お姉は私が働いている。わかる？
Kasai looked puzzled. It's not really that difficult to
つま
grasp.
り簡単。バイト中に私が何か咎められるようなことになったら、お分かり？
Normal people wouldn't buy this kind of plan. But Kasai knows too well how easy it is for my sis and me to trade places.
つくづく大胆というか、いやいや。
もちろん褒め言葉だよね。
Kasai looked amazed. If things go south, it'll affect him too. Considering the rules of my dad's profession, he won't be able to get away with just a mere apology. That's why he doesn't want me to do anything too risky. I think I have to make it up to him since he helped me escape, even knowing that risk.
ああ、シオンちゃんのことをどうのこうの言うやつが。
やっぱ吉郎おじさんならきっと助けてくれると思ってました。
Uncle Yoshiro pounded his chest with his fist after offering me his reassurance. He seemed glad that I turned to him first.
いいんだよ。俺はシオンちゃんの自分の生活費は自分で稼ぎたいっていう金をたかりに来たんだったら本家に突き出してるところだぜ。
ああ、おじさん怖い。
I knew he was reliable. He understood my situation straight away and promised to help.
店長、シフト表持ってきました。ここに置きますね。
One of the store clerks brought out a work schedule. There are many things I'm unfamiliar with written on it.
で、シオンちゃんは
私とお姉の都合次第できたら私の指定する日だけは。
おいおい、そんな虫のいいこと言うやつめ。まあな、仕方ないもんな。
I'm depending on Mion for my work. Our schedules have to match. Of course, Uncle Yoshiro understood that, but I also knew he couldn't afford a selfish part-timer who only works when she wants to. In the end, he decided to hire me as an office helper, not an official worker. As a temp, I wouldn't have a work schedule. My uncle also decided to pay me out of his own pocket.
生活費が稼げればそれで OK。
じゃあ、そう一応金を払うんだから。あと、事務所内じゃおじ。
はいはい、ふつつかものですけど。
こちらこそ。
Once all the business talk was over, my uncle hounded me with all kinds of questions. He asked me things like, what was it like in a prestigious girls' boarding school? And so on. Well, there were all kinds of rumors going around about the St. Lucie Academy I was confined to, and everyone was curious about it. I added a few embellishments of my own as I explained how unordinary life at that school was. My uncle looked extremely delighted to hear all the little details about life in a secret garden for girls. Horny bastard. Once my uncle was satisfied, it was my turn to ask all kinds of questions. I wanted to know if anything peculiar had happened while I was gone. I won't be able to act like Mion unless I can fill in the gap of information left in the past 2 years.
そんなに大きく変わっダム戦争が終わってからこっちは。
私はダムの計画中止が発表さ私がこっちにいた時は
中止発表の後の1年くらいは同盟も計画は凍結されただけで翌年には解散式をやったよ。南沢の境内でそれでダム戦争は
じゃあ私が閉じ込められたすぐ戦争も終わっちゃってみんなふぬけちゃった感じ？
シオンちゃんなんかはダム戦争は戦争子供たちが警察のお世話になるたびに引き取りに行っていろいろいじめられた大人の身にもなってくれよ。
まあ確かに否定はできないかな。私ら子供にとってはダム戦争はかなり遊べるイベントでしたし。
Uncle Yoshiro seemed exasperated at how differently kids and adults treated the conflict.
そういえばバラバラ殺人なんてのがありましたよね。あのクソムカつく現場監督の野郎がバラバラ。あれ確か犯人がまだ全員捕まってなかったですよね。捕まったんですか？
ああ、そうそう。確か捕まってないはず。
しかもひなみ沢の守り神、当時お社様のたたりだ。あれ子供的には結構怖かったな。
ああ、お社様のたたりね。その翌年にも起きたんだよな。
そうそう、あれも怖かったですね。何でしたっけ？ダムの賛成派の男が事故で死んだやつ、北条だっけ？しかもまたしてもお社様を祀る綿流しの日に。これはもうたたりしかあり。あれは怖かったです。うんうん。
The construction manager that everyone hated was killed, dismembered on the night of the Watanagashi festival. That incident, on its own, was more than intense enough for us kids. Worse, part of his body was never found, which made it almost a ghost story amongst us. We seriously believed that the severed right arm was roaming in search of the body it belonged to. It didn't take long for the rumor of Yashiro-sama's curse to become a topic of discussion among occult researchers and the like. Considering the circumstantial factors. Even so, the rumor faded away after about a year. After the dam project was officially frozen, we held Watanagashi purely as a festival. But the curse struck again. The victim was a pro-dam activist who lived in Hinamizawa by the name of Hojo. He and his wife were on a trip when they fell from a cliff to their deaths. It was considered an accident. Technically, police were still searching for the wife's body. If I remember right, they never did find it, did they? Once again, the man most worthy of Oyashiro-sama's curse fell victim on the night of the Watanagashi festival. So the fuss over Oyashiro-sama's curse rose up again. Until then, Oyashiro-sama wasn't considered very important. At least, in the world of us kids, it was just the name of the object of worship in the shrine. Nothing more than that. I had seen boys peering in the archway. Oh, Jesus. I'd seen boys peeing in the archway, and I once stuck my hand into the offertory box. The existence of a god didn't matter much to us. But after 2 consecutive occurrences, the kids no longer doubted the existence of a curse. We were all shaking in fear of Yashiro-sama. Everybody suddenly became interested in the old stories about him, too. We quietly listened to the musty old stories the elders had to tell. And we started genuinely believing in the tales of Yashiro-sama's miracles, which any of us would have laughed at way before. Yashiro-sama's rules were awfully simple and clear. Enemies treading into Hinamizawa will be cursed. Villagers leaving the village will be cursed. What defined the village was terribly vague. We were never allowed to leave Hinamizawa village. Was going to Okonomiya still safe? Was a single step enough to be out? Was a 3-day, 2-night hot spring trip still safe? We kids tried to draw a line. It was decided in the end that if you had a house in Yamazawa or Okonomiya, you were safe. And it was okay to go on trips if you had a house in either area. I know it's weird, but those rules were made up by kids after all. According to those rules, I'd be cursed since I lived at a boarding school in such a remote area. I couldn't say it out loud because I felt embarrassed, but in fact, I was a little scared of the curse.
でさ、その翌年にも起こっ
やっぱり2年連続っての私は今でもお社様
シオンちゃん、2年なんてもん
知らないですよ。何の話？
シオンちゃんはあれの知らないよな。
Uncle Yosho grimaced as if he said too much, as though he'd mentioned something I shouldn't know about.
何そこまで話を振っておいて急に黙られると面白くないですよ。
まあ、シオンちゃんももう小さい。
おじさん、私を見てまだ小さい子供っていうのなら、眼科行くか回し蹴り食らうかのどちらかを選んでもら
う。もう別に隠しあったんだよ。
あったって？おじさん、さっきから何の話？
When I was very little, I always had this tick before I heard something bad. It was like a gnome who lived inside of me was giving me a warning. Like he was poking me with a small needle. When I felt this tick before my parents called me, they'd always either chide me or tell me something bad. So I used to run away when I felt it. But my senses seemed to have grown dull over the years. Even though my gnome poked at me, I just sat there.
実は賛成派の北条が転落、つまりは去年なんだが、またあったんだよ。
あったって、また綿流しの日に3年連続、また？
そうなんだよ。ほら、ひなみ沢の神社、古出神社。あそこの神主が祭りの夜に聞いた話じゃ、原因不明の奇病で急死したとかしないとか。それもまたしても綿流しのよ。で、神さんもその晩のうちに沼にと村長たちが集まっててんやわんやの。
So, this currently takes place before the 4th year. Okay. So that's why Satoshi is like an actual part of the story this time around, because I'm guessing we're going to get more insight into Satoshi's story with this one.
奇病ってのはおひれだと思うけど、急死したってのは本当。神主さんは綿流しの準備で大変だったと思うし、急性心不全とかそういう感じの。でも綿流しの日にってのが異常でしょ。それも3年連続で。普通に考えたら人の死がこうも同じ日に重なるなんてことは警察も検視したみたいだけど、その後に特に騒がなかったってことは、まあでもシオンの言う通り、人の死が3年も続いて綿流しの日に重なると、それにさっきお姉も言った通り、お社様にたたられそうな人ばかり開始する。これは絶対に何かあります。たたりでも陰謀でも、とにかく絶対裏に何か因果関係がある。
I decided to meet up with Mion at the library near Okonomiya train station. It's not that I don't trust Mion, but I don't want to let her know where I live. Not many people use this library, so I won't see anyone from Hinamizawa there. It's very convenient for meeting someone in secret. After we discussed my life plan and work schedule, we moved to small talk. I've been away from this town for years. Things have changed. I asked Mion about those changes in detail in order to fill in the gaps. While talking about various things, I brought up what Uncle Yoshiro had told me about Oyashiro-sama's curse. Even before I left town, the curse had already struck twice. The dismemberment murder on the first year left quite an impact. And the year after, the pro-dam activist couple fell off the cliff. On the day, the villagers were enjoying their first Watanagashi festival since the dam project was indefinitely frozen. This one also left quite the impact. The evil construction site manager was punished, and the next year the traitor to the village met the same fate. If it had happened only once, people would have concluded it was just a bizarre coincidence. But when it happened 2 years in a row, people were far more likely to believe it was a curse. I know up to that part. After I left town, the curse struck again for the third time. People talked about the curse more intensely than ever, both in Hinamizawa and Okonomiya. I have to rethink this. Yashiro-sama's curse has drastically gained credibility while I was away. It was still unclear with the first two incidents. But after it continued for 3 years straight, people's doubts changed to convictions. Even though the priest who died in the third year wasn't an enemy of the villagers, the fact that people in Hinamizawa didn't care for him much added even more credibility to the idea.
神主は確か嫌われてませんでした？同盟の役員から。日和見主義なんじゃないかって。戦争末期は同盟内でも過激な理論がまかり、神主さんの穏健な態度はそういう人たちにとって気に食わないものだったと思うね。
The priest had looked strict and scary, the way he spoke was always so formal. But in reality, he was very warm and reserved. Maybe it was because he was a son-in-law, having married into his family. I'm sure the priest and his personality were the perfect fit for managing the shrine that was used for summer festivals and village meetings. But that gathering spot-style atmosphere of the shrine changed completely when the dam war broke out and became the headquarters for the Onogahuchi Guardians. Prior to the dam protests, hardly anyone worshipped Oyashiro-sama. Of course, the devout elders paid worship to him, but the average person treated our god like you'd treat a fortune-telling. Once the dam protests began, Oyashiro-sama was suddenly hauled out as the symbol of the village's resistance. Tracing the Oyashiro-sama faith back to its roots, it was an exclusive elitist faith that believed its members were descended from a holy ancestor, different from the masses at the foot of the mountain, and that those tainted masses should never come near the village. Of course, such self-centered ideology wasn't acceptable anymore in peaceful post-war Japan, so this doctrine was abandoned over time. Still, that idea remained, and they trudged it back up to fan the flames of nationalism and unite the town against the dam project. With the revival of those ideas, things only grew more radical by the day. It didn't take very long for the Onogahuchi Guardians to become aggressive. After that, we were in a state of war. 100 million, burning as one, kill the white savages, want naught but victory. Adults and kids both were gnawing at the bit, avid to repel the foreign invaders. Describing it like that makes it sound kind of awful, like a reminder of the dark times of wartime Japan. But like I said before, for us kids, it felt less like a war and more like a village-wide festival. Yet despite calling it a festival, dissenters were treated coldly. Their heartlessness lived up to the expression wartime regime. The Hojo couple, who voiced their acceptance of the dam project in the midst of that atmosphere, were truly brave. Then, on the second year of the curse, they died in an accident, and everyone believed it was Oyashiro-sama's curse without question. So they were branded traitors and enemies of the village. The Hojo couple faced worse than just being ostracized as traitors. Everyone gave them the cold shoulder and talked behind their backs. The only person who didn't treat them badly was the priest. While the priest never objected to the anti-dam movement, he also never objected to the Hojo couple's advocacy for accepting the government's eviction and restitution to rebuild new lives. Those unforgivable Hojos became a slogan as the three families, especially the Sonozakis, united the village by turning them into scapegoats. So they must have found it very shameful to have a fellow member of the three families approve of that, especially when it was the priest of the shrine that had become a symbol for the dam protests. As central figures in Yamizawa, the three families were the backbones of the Onogahuchi Guardians, so a difference of opinion was undesirable. And the priest was never accused of anything. But secretly, people whispered that he was a heretic and that he was unfit to serve as Oyashiro-sama's priest. That Oyashiro-sama's curse would soon strike him down, along with other rumors.
今にして考えると、神主さんって結構大人だったのかもねって思いません？
He was pretty cool, managing to keep his head and remain neutral while everyone around him grew fervent. I thought Mion would share my opinion when I chimed back in. So when Mion gave me a forced smile and didn't agree with me, I was taken by surprise.
本当に大人だったら、あそこは周りに合わせて強調すべきところだったと思うね。フルデのおじさんは単に神社の神主だっただけじゃなく、南沢全体が結束しなくちゃならない時に模範となるべき御三家の人間がそれが大人と呼べるかどうかは私には難しいな。
I was taken aback. Barely managed to say the following. Even though we're identical twins, we still had our own unique identities. Every now and then our opinions differed. but usually only over some trivial matter. We never had a difference of opinion this big. It wasn't an enjoyable feeling. I decided to probe her some
お
more.
姉の言う協調ってこと、つまりそれって何？村全体を考えて神主さんは自分の考えを隠しているべきだ。要するに全体主義の中でこう主張するなと。別にそこまで。ただやっぱり御三家の長の一人なんだから、もう少し言動は慎重にしてもよかったんじゃないかって、そういうことだよ。
Mion faltered a bit as my tone grew more like a cross-examination. I realized I was speaking a bit too harshly. What Mion expressed was probably the more mature opinion on our scale. When everyone needs to work together to stand up to a vast enemy like the government, people should refrain from actions that would destabilize that alliance. Writing it out and reading it now, I can understand that. But I wasn't mature enough to agree to such a totalitarian idea. Or maybe it wasn't me at all. It was Mion who'd made that mature judgment. We've been separated for over a year. I've been away from the town. In the meantime, Mion has been trained to take over the headship of the Sonozaki family. She'd been treated as such even before I was confined to that institution. She sat next to the hag in ceremonies and in meetings. She took her place when the hag was absent. But that was just it. We were never that different. Mion has become very like a successor since I've been gone.
お姉もいつの間にか大人になっちゃいましたね。
She seemed to get what I was implying.
やっぱり私もバッチャみたいな考え方になっちゃう。いいじゃないですか。お姉は次期当主なんだから、いつまでも下々と同じ考え方じゃまずいでしょ。さすが帝王学を学んだだけのことはある。そんなの学んでないよ。どうやればバッチャのふりができるかって、それだけ。シオンにだって簡単にできそんなのやりたくない。ばあさんのおもり、疲れない程度にほどほどに頑張りなさいませ。
I didn't mean to be cold, but Mion seemed to take it that way. She smiled as if trying to pacify me. I smiled gently back at her.
お姉？何？確かに私たちの別離は名前を引き離され、住まいを引き離され、そして体を引き離された時も、いつもね。
Mion looked down with a serious face, then looked right back
あ
up.
んたは私が、でもそれは、そりゃ確かに確執はあったよ。でもそんなのは時間で流れる程度の。あんたが引け目を感じるようなことは何もない。
Up until birth, we were perfectly equal. Right after birth, we were separated by the grown-ups' priorities. I used to get mad about it when I was little. There's no denying that, but we don't have to start a disagreement over it. Mion seems to understand what I'm trying to say. We each have our own characteristics, even though we're identical twins. Only we know the differences. We're also dependent on each other because of them. Mion seems more dependent. She always worries about me. If somebody gave her a cookie, she'd divide it in two and give one half to me. If somebody gave her a candy, she'd wait until I said it was okay to eat it. On the contrary, I'm cold. I don't care about others if I'm satisfied. I'd put the candy in my mouth right away. I'd have to emphasize that I don't hate her, and I'm well aware that she loves me. We both know that. Mion must have been hesitating to put the candy of the successor in her mouth and was waiting to see if I was okay with that.
頑張れ、ミオン。私もシオンを頑張る。
I tapped her forehead with my fist lightly. Mion put her forehead against my fist as if trying to feel the warmth. She's Mion, and I'm Shion. She's the successor of the Sonozaki family, and I'm just a vagabond. That isn't a distinction, but rather our individuality. We shouldn't worry too much about the other anymore. We should feel relaxed, living as who we are with our own characteristics. I have to say any of that out loud. We can communicate by touch, just like this.
ありがとう。シオン、頑張ろう。困ったことがあったらいつでも相談して。私たちはいつだってそうやってきた。それはこれからも何も変わらないよ。
Mion kept nodding with her forehead against my fist. I said goodbye to Mion before it turned to evening. We had talked about things that happened during my time away, and I enjoyed having that chat between sisters very much. We were able to dissolve our unsettled emotions. We didn't used to do that. Maybe it's because we hadn't seen each other for over a year. It was late afternoon. My heart felt lighter now. I stretched and looked up at the sky. The sky was clear blue and far away. No matter how tall I grow, I'll never be able to touch that sky. I'm Shion Sonozaki, a girl who escaped from the life she was forced to live. Nobody will praise me for what I did and for what I'm going to do. This is what I chose.
なんだ。私だって大人な考え方できるじゃない。
I psyched myself up. I should go shopping for dinner. Though I have Kasai's help, I need to save money. I love junk food, but damn it. But it'd be cheaper to cook. Ironically, the culinary classes from that evil school will come in handy. Why not go to the shopping district in Kamiishiki? If I'm going there, I need to take the other street. The cool breeze in the late afternoon felt nice on my skin. Kasai came to the door while I was putting stuff I bought into the fridge.
あ、待って待って。今鍵開けます。
お買い物の帰りですか？お疲れ様です。
買い物程度で疲れてちゃたまんないよ。あ、カサイも食べてく。一人者にはスーパーの野菜の単位。
よろしいんですか？ご厄介になってもいいものでしたら、ぜひ。
Kasai looked curious about what I'd cook.
チェ、その顔は全然信じてないな。見てろ。
これらは冷蔵庫でいいんですか？入れておきますよ。
あ、悪いね。二人分だとお米はこのくらいかな。よっこらしょっと。
Kasai skillfully packed food in the fridge while glancing at each item in turn. He noticed something.
シオンさん、相変わらず缶詰はダメなんですか？
I hadn't bought any. That was, of course, on purpose.
缶詰を避けての買い物。
理屈じゃ分かってん。無理強いされりゃ食べないこともないけど。それでも私はやっぱりパスだな。
悪かったと思ってます。少しふざけすぎたと思う。だからそろそろあんなくだらない話。
ああ、もう男が厨房にチャラチャラ出入りしない。テレビでも見てておとなしくしててよ。
Kasai chuckled and left. I know this sounds stupid, but I hate canned food. Somebody told me there was canned food in a meal I just ate, I'd throw up. It started with a silly thing. Kasai told me a horror story when I was little. Oh, yeah, about the canned flesh incident. You know, one of those urban legends. About meat made from an unknown source. Like those rumors about how there's worm meat mixed into burger patties or dog meat in beef bowls. Kasai had fun telling me one of those stories because of how scared I got. He had fun, but I obviously didn't. I even started to cry in the canned food section of a supermarket. That's how much I hated it. I don't freak out like that anymore. But I still don't like canned food. Since I don't like it, I don't force myself and now live my life naturally avoiding canned food. One of the big differences between us twins is that Mion doesn't have this issue. Kasai feels responsible for this, but he can't rid me of that fear. Still, a flaw like this is actually a good thing, otherwise I'd be too perfect. Ugh.
カサイ、机の上の新聞どけて。
いい匂いです。ごちそうになります。
量が足りないと思ったら、あとは勝手に牛丼屋さん。あ、テレビを切らないで。私は静かな食卓ってやつが苦手だから。
では、いただきます。
で、カサイ何の用だ？何か用事があってきたんでしょ？
I handed him a cup of tea. I could wait until dinner was over, but I wanted to get to the point quick.
食事が終わってからの方がいいかと思ってましたが。
カサイが来た時点で先に言ってくれた方がご飯の通りが良くていいかもで。
自宅に学園から電話が。
今日そりゃ遅いね。よっぽど表沙汰にしたくなで、どうなっ。
電話は茜さんが取りました。親父さんには後で折を見て話すそうです。
Akane-san is my mom. That's what I was figuring. That's what Kasai calls her, as he's known her since before her marriage.
で、母さんなんか言ってた？
I was lucky she answered the phone, since she's relatively on my side.
仕方のないやつだ。こういう結果も決して予想外ではなかったような顔つ。
親父にはまだ知らせてない。
茜さんなりにタイミングを測っているんでしょう。多分2、3日中には話すものと思います。
親父はばあさん寄りだからな。耳に入れば自動的にあいつにも伝えるだろうな。で、伝わったら見つけ次第即刻ここへ連れてこ。申し開きの遺憾によっては指の1本や2本おっかないこと
笑い事で済めばいい。シオンさんの指だけじゃ済まない。あちちちち
がっつくからだよ。あ、ちなみに味噌汁もご飯も作りすぎてるから3杯は絶対食べること。
A few days later, Mion told me that the hag had heard about my escape.
で、ばあさんはどんな。
バッチェはカンカンで、もしも沖宮界隈に帰ってきてるなら。
怖で、実際に親父と
近々の親族会議でシオンをかくまってないか問いた。でも若いのに町中を探させるとかそういう真似はしないみたいだよ。
Holding a family council means that things will remain in the hag's hands alone. She won't search the town for me. It's like she's unofficially approving my presence. Of course, I'll get caught immediately if they find me in a large public place.
母さんが随分暗躍してくれたみたいだね。
I can tell she's being supportive. It's a long story, but my mom is sort of an outlaw, even though she's of the Sonozaki bloodline. A long time ago, she had a huge fight with the hag because she hated the family rules and traditions. She was even excommunicated. My mom was supposed to be the successor, but she was deprived of the title and Sis took her place instead. While she's quiet now, Mom's still an outlaw. She's always been on my side because I also hate rules and traditions.
親父、最初はすっごくカンカンだったらしいよ。母さんがだいぶなだめたら何のかんの言っても。
オッケー、ありがとう。また何かあったら教えてね。本当にヤバくなったら、葛西とか吉郎おじさんとか、それに母さんとか、世話になった人の顔は潰せないからね。お姉、どうして同じ血を分けた姉妹なのに、シオンだけこんな隠れるように生活しなきゃならないのか。
Mion was silent. I meant yes.
シオンだけ、こんな窮屈な思いをするのは絶対。
ありがとう。気持ちだけでも嬉しいです。
表に出たい時とか、シオンがいつでもミオンになれるよう協力するからさ。
She sounded apologetic. I shouldn't go quiet or agree with her. She sticks to things a little too much. Once she goes down, she'll stay there for a while. So I just told her simply...
ありがとう。実はそれが一番。じゃあ切りますね。
じゃあね、またね。
Interesting. I'm curious what the outcome of this council will be. Because obviously, like, the whole backstory with Shion kind of changes my perception of Shion a bit, right? Because from what they told Keiichi, right, from all that we really knew, we kind of thought she lived with her folks in Okonomiya, right? That she really wasn't going through much, right? But now this kind of changes things. It makes me very curious, like, what changed, right? At some point things had to have changed. Because in chapter 2, you know, Shion shows up at the Watanagashi festival. Right? Did she show up at all in chapter 3? I think so. I think leading up to it, maybe. Yeah, no, she did. She definitely did. Because I remember, like, he mentions the fact that, like, oh, Satoshi transferred away, and she's like, how do you know that? Who told you that? I'm pretty sure that was chapter 3, yeah. So, like, at some point there's a change. At some point, there's like a moment where Shion's presence becomes acceptable. Because the fact that she can just show up in Hinamizawa while Mion is also there shows that, like, there's some kind of change, which I can only assume, you know, it comes from my theory of, like, Oreo passing at some point, but Mion not sharing that information. So Mion just, you know, acting as the mouthpiece for Oreo says, there's been a change of plans. Shion is allowed to enter the village as she pleases or something. But also that would cast some suspicion because everyone knows that Oreo fucking hates Shion. Very curious to see how things change into the present day. A smudged diary. Satsuko was crying while hiding behind my back. Ah. She's been crying while clinging on to me, so my back was wet with tears and snot. My aunt had been screaming hysterically, but she looked tired now. I suddenly realized it was already past 1 in the morning. She vomited out a series of screams one last time, then finally called it quits. Satsuko seemed exhausted. She was looking down in a state of shock. Even after my aunt walked away, she didn't realize she'd been freed. So I just stroked her head and told her.
終わったよ。Satsuko.
Satsuko twitched. Her eyes grew bright again, tears rolled down her cheeks. She looked up at my face. She knew it was over, but wanted to hear it directly from me. She begged me with a look. To be honest, I was really exhausted too, so I felt a bit annoyed when she tried to make me say it. But I needed to pacify her, so I gently told her what she wanted to hear. Satoko clung to me while her tears continued to fall. She was crying again, silently. Satoko was shivering pitifully. Her small bag reminded me that there was nobody else to protect her. Satoko smiled faintly and nodded. I felt dizzy. As I was released from the strain, a harsh drowsiness fell upon me. While Satoko was washing her face, I went to the toilet. I zoned out while watching my pee. In my dizziness, I almost missed the shot. Felt like I was being sucked into the toilet. I couldn't even remember what caused it. Why did my aunt start screaming today? Yeesh. It's a very quiet afternoon as always. Since I can't go outside as myself, I have to match schedules with Mion when I go shopping. I've gotten used to it by now, so it's no longer a hassle. Because of this, I naturally have to buy things in bulk. Today I shuttled between shops and my home.
あれはか、あ、そうだ。今日って100円セールの日じゃな、忘れてた。
Being in a good mood, I spun around with my arms spread out. I felt like a little whirlwind. My arm hit a motorcycle parked on the sidewalk. It obviously wasn't where it was supposed to be.
何こんなとこに止めてるの、誰?
I gave it a kick with no hesitation. Jesus Christ. There were 3 motorcycles lined up there in a row. Really? We're doing a repeat of this? They all fell like dominoes. Okay. It was a beautiful sight. This is fun, I thought. This is fun? Oh my god. Being in such a good mood made me leave my guard down. I didn't realize that the owners of the motorcycles were right nearby. They looked pretty scary. They grabbed me by the neck and dragged me to a dark alley. Then they called me all kinds of names. Everything is happening too quickly for me to grasp what was going on. Whoa. They can't really talk properly. I didn't have a clue what they were saying. I had to translate their alien tongue into normal human words in order to understand. We are very upset because you knocked down our motorcycles. You should immediately pay for the repair and compensation. Yeah, that was probably it. That's our offer. What do you say? We'd be happy to listen to your opinion. Something like that. I know what they're trying to say. Somebody has to warn them about the way they park their motorcycles. Wouldn't be fair to those who obey the rules if there are no punishment for those who disobey them. This is an accident, but it must also be God's will. God, you can use me to punish these guys, but how will you compensate me later? I heaved a huge sigh. Of course, I wasn't afraid in this situation at all, because it wasn't a dangerous one for me. These 3 guys were yelling at the top of their lungs at a girl. They didn't look good doing it, and they had too many disadvantages. First, there was the differences in gender and in the number of people. Even if I did something wrong, as men shouting at a woman, it didn't make them look like they were in the right. Add to that, there were 3 of them. Looked like it was going to get violent. Second, the location. Taking a girl into a dark, narrow alleyway is already a bad idea. On top of that, they're asking for money, not just an apology. Thanks to these facts, the public will be on my side. So this was a fight they couldn't possibly win. The public will be on my side. Hey, there's a reason they dragged you into an alley, so the public can't see it. The only way for them to win would be to take my money before someone finds out. Considering that, taking me to this narrow, secluded alleyway might have been a smart move, since fewer people will find out about the situation. I knew how slim their chances of winning were. From the very beginning, they had picked the wrong girl. I'm Mion Sonozaki now. It'd be foolish to mug her in Okonomiya. Soon enough, the people of Inamizawa would notice me and gather around. They don't spare mercy for their enemies no matter what. Punks didn't know this area well. If they did, they'd have known how silly it was to rob Mion. Plus, the alleyway is always as empty as they assumed. The side street is a shortcut which local people frequently use on their way home. In the late afternoon, many people will be passing through here. That time had almost arrived. If I held off a little longer, the street would soon be filled with people. Then the punks would have to go away. I didn't have to do anything. I just had to wait in order to win. This was a simple fight like that. While they could hurl abusive language at me or lift me up by my collar, they weren't actually going to resort to violence. Cheers to the educational system for ingraining the ladies first mindset. But as a wicked person, I wanted to toy with them a bit, even though I could win this by waiting. I wanted to paint them as even more villainous, drive them into a corner that would be even harder to talk their way out of. That demonic desire was rearing its horns. To put it plainly, I only need to act as the poor helpless victim a little further. Like the pathetic, pitiful, tragic heroine everyone wants to sympathize with. In a case like this, I shouldn't start crying immediately because they get nervous and draw back. If it were a truly threatening situation, that would work, but I need something more. I'd pretend to be strong at first. In fact, I thought, why don't I challenge them? And eventually I'd start trembling. My voice would fade and I'd get tears in my eyes. It'd be even better if I played the role of a strong girl who was slowly giving in to fear. Mion and I are probably the only ones who are capable of pulling that kind of stuff off. Well, I'm probably better than her. I talked back with a little hesitation. Am I getting tears yet? Yes. By the way, I've heard men can't shed tears on command. Feel sorry for them. 3 punks faltered a bit due to my sudden change in attitude, but they soon started yelling at me again. I had to keep going. That way they'd blatantly look like they were picking on a helpless girl. It looked like they were laying off a bit. Did I overdo it a little? It'd be boring if they let me go now. At that moment, the boy around my age appeared. He was skinny. He looked weak. He looked younger than he probably was. He also looked smart. He bravely glared at the punks. Punks turned away from me to face the boy instead. The boy looked a bit agitated when the punks started yelling at him. They sure were ruthless. Yeah, I'm sure he's not going to take too kindly to people fucking yelling at him. But the boy must have known that from the beginning. He must have known that he was going to get into a dangerous situation. Yet he didn't hesitate. He must have wanted to shout back at them. But he'd probably never used that kind of language in his life, so he couldn't have expressed his feelings out loud. He might not even known what to say. So he just kept on glaring at them. To let them know that he wasn't going anywhere. Anywhere, Jesus. The 3 punks, though, might have thought he was just lost for words in his fear. But I knew different. The boy was overpowering them with nothing but his will. The punks were losing, so they resorted to violence. They grabbed him and knocked him down. They hit, kicked, and tossed him around. Looked painful, but I knew. It was his victory. What? In the end, local passersby stopped the punks. They made no further fuss and just went away. The boy stood up. He was covered in dust. He smiled when our eyes met and asked me if I was alright. He didn't look particularly okay himself, though. He laughed, saying that he was watching from the beginning. That meant he had the option to walk away. But instead he worked up the courage and stepped in. I realized one thing. He must be one of Sis's friends. He didn't seem to realize I'm her twin. He thought I was Mion with a different hairstyle. Mion and I had to live separately since before we went to elementary school. Mion was in Hinamizawa, and I was in Okonomiya. I lived in a totally different environment from her. So it's not strange that people don't know me. Actually, only very few people know I exist. I almost told him that I'm not Mion, but I managed to stop myself. Shion shouldn't be here. He's from Hinamizawa. wouldn't be good if he thought he saw a Mion lookalike in Okonomiya. So I had to act like Mion. Dealing with him could be more difficult than handling those punks.
でもま、ミオンにも少しは女の子らしいところがあったんで安心したよ。
なんだか妙に引っかかる言い方ですけど。
ミオンのことだから、なんだか珍妙な憲法でもだから泣き出した時は。
あれは泣き真似だって。さっきから人の話ちゃんと聞いて。
He gently put his hand on top of my head and stroked it as if stroking a kitten. I could remember somebody doing that to me when I was little, but it had been quite a while since somebody stroked my head. I didn't know what to do. Why did it make me so embarrassed? My face reddened all at once. I couldn't say anything.
バカにしてます？ひょっとして。
I stuttered in embarrassment. He looked calm as if he was used to doing this. Yeah. Oh, bud.
なんでもいいよ。よかったじゃないか。
よかったって。
無事で。
He smiled while he kept stroking my head. His smile looked divine. He wasn't going to stay for long. He'd already saved me from those guys after all.
じゃあ、僕は行かなきゃならないから、そろそろ行くね。
あ、うん。
I wanted to go through all the steps of meeting someone for the first time, but he didn't. As far as he was concerned, he just saved a friend from danger and wanted to leave quickly to avoid seeming pretentious. He and Mion must be friends who knew each other well, so I couldn't bring myself to ask, "What's your name?" Mion's friend smiled once again. His smile looked as refreshing as a clear blue sky. This time he smiled a bit mischievously.
ミオンが泣いてたなんて誰にももっとも言ったところで天下無双の委員長が泣いてたなんて。
He patted the dust off his butt once again. He walked back to the sunny main road away from the dark alley. Then he turned around.
じゃあまた学校でね。
うん、学校で。
He disappeared into the brightly lit street. I continued to sit in the gloomy alleyway. I could no longer see him. I was just staring absent-mindedly at the bright light. That was the first time I met Satoshi-kun. I'm not even allowed to walk freely under the sun. I met a boy on a sunny day. How come a perverse girl like me fell in love with his innocence? Ooh. Ooh.
そりゃあサトシだよ、サトシ。
Ooh. Now, what if Mion's harboring a little crush on Satoshi, right? And Shion ends up stealing her man. Well, not even her man. Like I'm guessing she ain't actually make moves, because that's something no one's ever mentioned before. What if Shion ends up making her own moves, right? Ends up spilling the deets, similar to what we saw with Keiichi in chapter 2. Ends up spilling the deets of who she is, right? Cause a little division between the siblings, right? Maybe that's why Mion gets a little agitated whenever she comes around in the present day, right? Especially around Keiichi.
その特徴的な雰囲気と気安く頭を撫でる癖は間違いないね。
サトシ君って言うんだ。
The boy from earlier is called Satoshi Hojo-kun. Mion said that he's always daydreaming, so she didn't believe that he saved me at
普
first.
段はしっかり者の妹にいろいろと尻を叩かれてるな。
妹がいるんだ。
うん。妹は貞子って言ってね、なかなか面白いやつ、なかなか悪知恵、そのくせ追い詰められると泣くし、見てて退屈しない子だね。まあ、最近はいろいろとあってね、ちょっと調子を落としてるけど。
His sister came up naturally in the conversation. Tried to soak up every scrap of information about Satoshi-kun. Why? Why am I trying to ask so much about him? As I asked myself that, the feeling I got when he stroked my head came back to me. I must have been blushing.
もしもし、シオン？
ああ、聞いてる聞いてる。
そもそもね、サトコがおばと折り合いが悪いらしいんだよね。サトシは大人だから、その辺はうまく立ち回ってるんだけどさ、サトコは嫌なことがあると素直に表情に出しちゃうからね。
What Sis told me was very interesting. She told me that the parents of Satoshi-kun and his little sister are dead. Satoshi-kun and Satoko are now living with their uncle and aunt. They don't seem like very respectable people. They're always fighting, and the uncle is cheating on the aunt. He mostly lives with his mistress. Satoshi-kun and Satoko entered into that unwelcome environment. What surprised me the most is the fact that Satoshi-kun's parents were the Hojo couple who were the leaders of the pro-dam activists. That fact must have added something to their situation. I don't know what kind of stance the uncle and the aunt took during the dam conflict, but they must have taken some indirect blows. Satoshi-kun's parents died after bothering them so much, and even left them their children. The uncle and aunt obviously can't love those kids. Things have gotten worse this past year, too. Women can be really nasty bullies. Sometimes it doesn't matter who they're bullying, even if it's a kid. On top of that, women tend to care less about propriety than men. As a result, Satoko seems exhausted with it all. I can imagine Satoshi-kun bravely protecting his little sister, just like when he saved me.
なら、サトシ君も普段は疲れてるってことになる。サトコがおばにいじめられるたびに妹が疲れるのと同じくらい、サトシ君も疲れてると思うのは。どうだろうね。
Had I said something wrong? Mion sounded a bit taken aback, so that meant Mion can't tell how he's feeling, because he's always wearing that blank look, so she never considered it. How can she be that insensitive even though she's around him all the time? I was amazed to realize that.
まあそんなで、彼は普段はどんなことをしてる？文系みたいだから読書とか好きなわけ？想像に生まれずに普段は読書して過ごしてるよ。最近読んでる本はね、なんて言ったかな。
I continued asking about him, about what he likes, dislikes, and what he thinks about. I asked Sis all these questions because I wanted to know more about him. It was the first time I'd ever been that interested in somebody. I didn't want to admit that I had feelings like that. Did I fall in love just because of a stroke on the head? Am I stupid or what? When I remember the feeling of his hand on my head, my heart feels tingly. I tried doing it myself, but it didn't feel the same. Yeah, okay. I'm stupid. What am I doing stroking my own head? Yeah, shit.
おねえ、私もバカになっちゃった。何を突然気色悪い声で笑う。おねえにはわかるまい、この気持ち。
You couldn't possibly understand what love is, sis. When would I see him again? I felt as if my suffocating life had finally grown brighter. I mean, bold move. Very bold move to, start falling in love with this guy, knowing he has connections to your sister, so it's gonna complicate your situation so fucking much. But hey, I guess more power to you, I guess. The life I lived really was beginning to suffocate me. I couldn't go out freely, and I always had to make arrangements with Mion before going to work. I thought my life would improve after escaping from the school, but in reality it wasn't that easy. It's not healthy to live like this for too long. Without any friends to hang out with, I felt like I was hibernating. I started to feel the dangers of falling into boredom. All I could think of now was Satoshi Hojo-kun's face. I only met him briefly, but my encounter with him had a great impact on my new life. I felt like something exciting was going to happen. Really, I was hyped up like a little kid. The more I thought about it, the more I realized I've been thinking about him a lot lately. This might be a crush. I felt a little ridiculous idolizing him in such a romantic way, though. Then, out of the blue, I got a chance to see him again.
あれ?
I saw a familiar face at twilight in the park. He was sitting on the swing. It looked like he was zoning out or maybe deep in thought. He didn't notice me, even though I was right in front of him. I reminded myself to speak and act like Mion before talking to him.
Hey! 何やってんのこんなとこでさ。
ミオンか、びっくりしたな。
そんなに驚いてるようにはさっきからいたんだけど、ずっと気づかなかった？
そうなのかい？ごめん、気づかなかったよ。
He smiled self-derisively and shrugged. He looked depressed, like something was troubling him.
何か悩み事でも？聞いて楽になるものなら聞くし、力になれるものなら惜しまないけど。
いや別に。
私はサトシ君には一個借りがあるからね。それとも何？おじさんじゃ力になれないと思ってるわけ？見くびられたもんだな。
別にミオンの力を借りたら。
ほう、それは何？私ごとき女の手は借りたくないってこと？
Thinking him unfair, I puffed my cheeks up in a sulky gesture. Satoshi-kun noticed that and smiled.
違うんだよ。僕に実力がなくて、ここ一番で打てなかったってだけのことなんだよ。
I mentally rifled through all the information about Satoshi-kun that Sis had given me. He doesn't look like much of an athlete, but apparently Satoshi-kun belongs to a junior baseball team. They're called the Hinamizawa Fighters. I doubt he's very skilled since I didn't hear much about his contributions to the team. Maybe that's why he doesn't tell many people that he's a member. Given how down he felt as a result of messing up, though, he must be fairly dedicated. I deduced all that from what Sis told me and carefully chose my words so as to sound like her.
そんなことで落ち込んでるわけ？
そんな簡単に言ってくれるな、ミオンは。
I pat his back while chuckling. Satoshi-kun would probably call me insensitive. I knew I should listen to him rather than trying to cheer him up. Acting like Sis was probably the wrong thing to do in this case, but I had no choice. This is just how she'd react in this situation.
それなら落ち込むんじゃなくて、こういう時は練習しかないよ、練習。まあ、サトシ君に相手のピッチャーに小細工をしてまで勝ちたいという執念。
ずるしてもはあ。
Satoshi-kun hung his head after letting his regrets out with a big sigh. Surrender, defeat, resignation were all visible in that gesture of his.
諦めがいいのか未練たらたらなのか、やっぱり男に生まれたからには一度くらいは晴れ舞台でスターになってみたいでしょう。
Satoshi-kun grinned and said yes.
もちろんヒーローを目指すのがそれが目的で、純粋にボールを投げたり打ったりするのが楽しい。ミオンでもそういうのわかるよね。
おじさんはそういう、私は結果が一番になれないのに大好きなんてものはあんまりよくわかんないね。
ミオンらしい答えだな。
Having realized that I'm trying to make him feel better, he laughed along. He didn't look depressed anymore. I guess he was just feeling down because of the game. He wasn't as depressed as I thought. Maybe I just jumped to conclusions when I saw him sitting alone in the park.
でもミオンは一番になるためにそれは偉いと思うよ。
He smiled gently and stood up. Then he started stroking my head. All of a sudden, I totally wasn't prepared for that. I thought this when he did this last time, but how can he stroke somebody's head so easily? Felt like I had turned into a little kid. Memories from kindergarten came to mind. My face must have been red. I felt embarrassed, but also like I was in heaven. Satoshi-kun stroked me as though petting a cat. I was blushing with my eyes closed. I felt hopeless, like a girl being treated by the dentist with her mouth open and her eyes shut. Satoshi-kun didn't seem to notice my feelings at all. He didn't seem to care. I hate him. With my eyes so closed, I waited for him to finish. He suddenly withdrew his hand.
じゃあ僕はおばさんに野球の帰りに買い物をしてくる。
My voice faltered. I was so embarrassed.
買い物なら夕飯の買い物。
あれ、ミオンもお手伝いさんが全部やってくれるって言ってなかったっけ？
Shoot. I messed up. In the main Sonozaki house, the maids do everything. Therefore, Mion hardly goes grocery shopping, and she's bragged to some people about that. I should have known better. Still, it won't be too hard to find an excuse.
町に遊びに来る買い物を私が引き受けてきたわけよ。お分かり？
ミオンにしては珍しい。普段はそういうのめんどくさいって言って嫌がり。
そういうのを余計なお世話っていい。頭撫でないで。
Satoshi-kun seemed to be having fun with how embarrassed I'd get when he patted me. Anyway, I managed to talk my way out of it. He didn't seem to really care about the details. While walking with Satoshi-kun in the shopping district of Kamiishiki, it suddenly occurred to me, why had I messed up? I'd known Mion would never go grocery shopping. What an amateurish mistake. Did I make that mistake when I was pretending to be Mion? No. I was probably speaking as Shion. I couldn't keep lying to myself. I had to just admit, it was simply because I wanted to spend as much time with Satoshi-kun as possible. It was easy to see why I was so attracted to him. I'd found something intriguing in my boring life. I didn't have to feel tense because he thought I was somebody else, etc., etc. His easygoing nature made him fun to be around, and his habit of petting people on the head was fun too. From these symptoms, I could tell I was embracing the feeling of love. I was just casually enjoying that feeling. It wasn't that I fell in love with him. I was just having fun. I could simply spend some fun time with Satoshi-kun without having to think too much.
ブロッコリーって緑だっけ？黄色だっけ？
I see both siblings suck shit at that one. Gotcha.
サトシ君、そっちはカリフラワー。サトシ君ってひょっとしてキャベツとレタス。
それはひどいよ。 これでも精一杯区別してるつもり。
Satoshi-kun stared at the heaps of broccoli and cauliflower. After thinking for a while, he reached out for the wrong one.
それ違う。サトシ君の買い物は見てるこっちは楽しい。
サトコと一緒の時にも迷うんだよ。ブロッコリーとカリフラワーは。
あんたら兄弟二人揃って面白すぎです。
Sister told me that Satoshi was a flaky big brother to his nagging little sister. I hadn't met Satoko, but she must be having a tough time dealing with Satoshi-kun. He stumbles over everything he buys after all.
それは調理塩、胡椒とか混じってますから、卓上塩とは異なります。
そうなの？ほら、確か理科の実験で。
言い訳はいいから棚に戻す。こっちが普通のお塩ね。で、次は
ミオンがいてくれるとは。
サトシ君、頭良さそうに見えて、もう少しお勉強した方がいいと思います。
それはひどいな。あった、これかな。ひゅいひゅい。
だから何でもカゴに放り込む前に値段と何人分かをよく確認する。
My first impression of Satoshi-kun was that he was strong and reliable. But the more I spoke to him, the more surprised I was at how clumsy and unreliable he was. How do I put it? It was hard to leave him alone. He was dangerous on his own. If he wasn't careful, he might start wondering, do you cross the street when the light is red? Or was it green? And get himself run over by a dump truck.
1708スタンプカードはありますと。
ちょっと見当たらないんで今度でいいです。
I finished checking out, ignoring Satoshi-kun as he fished through his wallet full of receipts.
ひどいなミオン。スタンプちゃんと押さないと。
あんた、夕暮れ時のお買い物ラッシュの時にのんびりと財布を漁ってスタンプカードなんか探さない。後ろに大勢待ってるんだから。私たちの後ろで海線山線のおばさま方が早くしなさいざます。そういう時はレジ前に並んでる時からあらかじめ用意しておくの。
そうか。いいことを
ちなみにここでのことだけ、バスに乗る時もそう。サトシ君、バスを降りようとして料金を入れる時、その時になって初めてお財布を開けて。
みんな。
それはね、すっごーくそういうのはあらかじめ用意しておくのがマナー。わかりました？
今日のミオンは怖いな。
Satoshi-kun smiled as if patronizing me. I couldn't believe it. He was definitely the type who made women want to protect him. Sure, he was fine as he was when he had a busybody like me around him. But I couldn't stop worrying whether he was able to function in society without someone like that nearby. We got plastic bags and sorted out what we bought. Satoshi-kun put a pack of tofu at the bottom of the bag. I slapped his hand and put it in a milk carton instead.
はい、これで台所で買い物袋を広げて、お母さんに仰天されなくて済みますからね。
Shion, you kind of slipped up there. Mother was not the right term to use. Yikes, you might wanna,
ありがとう。助かったよ。僕はどうも買い物が苦手でさ。
買い物だけ正直におっしゃい。嘘冗談。
I realized a few things while I was spending time with him today. He's not just bad at shopping, he's also chronically clumsy. In general, you could call him a slow thinker. That meant, when he stepped into the quarrel with the punks, he must have needed a lot of courage. He might be a simpleton, but he's not stupid. He's aware of his weaknesses, so he must have been aware of the danger in that situation. He could have chosen to walk away even though I was in trouble, but he chose to be a man and stepped in. That was really admirable of him.
偉い。サトシ君は頑張ったよ。いい子。
急に人の頭を。
サトシ君が一人でお買い物ができなで。
ミオン、僕のこと
してお家一人で帰れる道わかる？
やっぱりバカにしてる。
Satoshi-kun's sulky face flushed red. He's just too cute. At that point, I caught a glimpse of a billboard from the corner of my eye. Piano lessons called Abacus class. Junior baseball team, members wanted. It was a posting for the team Satoshi belonged to. Showed the day, time, and place of their next practice. By then, I knew just how flaky he was. Figured he must be just the same when playing baseball. Satoshi-kun realized that I was reading the posting. He looked uncomfortable and walked away.
今サトシ君は頼むからミオン、野球やってるとこまで来ないで。図星？その図星ってことでしょ。
Satoshi-kun became quiet after mumbling something. Seemed like he couldn't say anything back since I had been right on the money. Satoshi-kun, you're just too cute. I don't think going silent is a good way to dodge the issue. Well, that might have just been the way innocent people like him would react in a situation like that.
じゃあね、サトシ君。暗くなりかけてるから気をつけて帰ってね。
ミオンは一緒に帰らないのかい、ひなみざわ。
あ、私はもうちょっと寄るとこあり。気にしないで先に帰ってください。
僕の買い物を今度は僕が。
大丈夫大丈夫。っていうか、サトシ君が人の手伝いする前に自分が手伝われな。
今日のミオンはひときわ意地悪かな。
He seemed to have some pride at least. He looked a bit upset because he was teased by a girl. But in contrast, I felt very satisfied. As a result, I forgot to keep my guard up.
でも手伝ってくれて本当に助かったから。
While wearing a bright smile, Satoshi-kun suddenly started stroking my head again. I know he's teasing me, but I can't reject him. He keeps doing it only because he realized I won't resist. Oh. You fucking know at some point he's gonna try to do it to Mion, like the actual Mion. He's gonna get his fucking hand slapped. He's like, oh, but you didn't seem to mind it when we met in Okonomiya. When the fuck did we meet in Okonomiya?
じゃあね、暗くならないうちに用事を。また明日学校で。
また明日学校でね。
In fact, I wouldn't see him tomorrow at all. Felt awkward, but I had to settle for that. I had to thank Sis for letting me use her name. After I separated from him, I found myself giddy and wishing to see him again as soon as possible. I wanted to know more about him. Couldn't wait for my next chance to see him. Actually, maybe there was something I could do. Just like when I obtained my freedom from St. Lucia's, I could choose how to live my life. Whatever, it wasn't that complicated. Just wanted to tease him more. Wanted him to stroke my head more. And, whatever. I already knew the schedule for his baseball team. Okay, so Shion's gonna end up slipping up and making some dumb mistake because she's infatuated with Satoshi, huh? And Satoshi I'm guessing Satoshi getting demoned away has something to do with him getting close to Shion then. Just a guess. A crumpled diary. Oh. Okay, so we're back to this. My aunt finally stopped her hysterical screaming. Today was just like any other day. I can't remember what set her off. Whatever it was, she changed subjects constantly anyway. It didn't matter. She went on past midnight again. The urge to sleep was pounding the back of my head. Once Satoko had been able to relax, she fell down on the spot and started sleeping, still clinging to my sleeve. I carried Satoko to the bedroom, laid out our futons.
ほら、サトコ。布団に入りな。
Satoko crawled in like a worm. She stopped moving when she was inside. Wish I could go to bed too, but I couldn't. My aunt asked me to do some chores. I had to get toothpaste after school tomorrow. I had to write it down somewhere. I had to make rice for lunch tomorrow. Set the timer. Right, I also had to repile the towels in the bathroom. That was the reason for today's scolding. I won't get mad if everything isn't done the way she wants. Oh, and there was something else. I was working at the grocery store the next day. They wanted me to bring in an apron. Do we even have an apron in this house? Never seen one. I will be sleeping when I go to school, so I have time to ask her. What should I do? Since Mion helped me to get that job, I didn't want to screw it up. In that case, why don't I ask Mion about it at school? She may lend me one. Was there anything else? I was envious of Satoko because she got to go to bed. It was pathetic that I felt that way. Interesting. So because Shion doesn't know everything that's going on, there's gonna end up being a slip. Like, she doesn't know that Satoshi got a job at the grocery store. So she's gonna end up like, well, I need to go get groceries, and then, oh, Mio, what are you doing here? Oh, fuck, what are you doing here? Yeah, no. And it's very clear just from like the last like few lines that Shion had before that she's starting to give less and less of a fuck about maintaining her act. And that at some point she's just going to drop it outright.
Konnichiwa! 今日もお暑いのにご精が出ますことで。
おお、ミオンさんじゃないですか。
Oh, okay. Okay. At some point, Shion does become like the manager of the team, right? Yeah. But see, once again, that means at some point there's got to be a point where Shion is like given the okay to just like exist and be herself, and like she knows she can just walk around normally, right? At some point there has to be like the okay. Or maybe I guess there comes a point where she trusts Irie enough. But yeah, that's yet another point where like people who know her name, where she's interacted with people before. I'm very curious what that point's gonna be. What's gonna cause what's the point where Shion can just be Shion and she doesn't have to put up the act? Cause like, I don't know, it's clear from like when we first met Shion in chapter 2 that when she was pretending, well no, that's the thing, she never said she was Mion. That is the point. She knew about Keiichi, and we can tell that Mion and Shion talk to each other fairly frequently, right? If they continue like talking to each other the way they do now, like yeah, it makes sense that Shion's filled in on whatever's going on in Hinamizawa, right? So she'd know about this new Keiichi guy. She'd know about like Mion's connection with them. She'd know like some of the funny tales about, you know, what he's been involved in and whatnot. So yeah, I can totally see her just fucking with him for the hell of it. But then obviously it goes a lot further south. Interesting. And that's the thing. It's never mentioned that Satoshi had any kind of feelings for Mion, right? That's never mentioned or brought up. So I can only assume he does eventually. Shion's identity comes to light, and at that point Shion can kind of drop the act around him, and I'm guessing they do become a bit closer because it seems like both of them want that, right? And maybe that leads into Mion's ire when, you know, she starts making moves on Keiichi like that. Because like all of a sudden, you know, Mion has someone that she likes in Keiichi, but Shion steps in and is like taking that away from her as well. Acting very selfishly, like, oh yeah, you took the last guy, and now I can't even have a guy myself? What the fuck?
こんにちは。あれ？ありがたいな。さすがは我がチームのマネージャー。
まあ気が向いたからです。別に監督に差し入れたくて買ってきたわけじゃないので、あとさりげなく人を勝手にマネージャーに組み込まないように。
ミオンがマネージャーだったらいろいろ心強いと思うけど、やってよミオン、マネージャー。
Satoshi-kun smiled at me in a carefree manner. I didn't want to become their manager. It'd be tiresome. Yeah, and that kind of explained why she like never shows, because we know from chapter 3 when we're first introduced to, you know, the team and whatnot, and finding out that Shion is the manager and whatnot, that after a certain point she kind of like stops showing up, and she's always like, stop calling me the manager, I don't even show up to these, you know, practices anymore. So clearly if she gets close to Satoshi and then, you know, he gets demoned away in the Watanagashi of 82, then clearly like she still like shows up from time to time because of like a connection to Satoshi, but also because of her connection to Satoshi, she doesn't like showing up because she knows he's not around anymore, and it constantly brings up that feeling. I've been coming every week though, so I'm a quasi manager already.
まあ本当に気が向いたらその時はやりますんで。で、どうです？サトシ君の打率はどんな感じです？
頑張ってますよ。彼の打率ですか？セブンスマートでおせんべいの袋をどれでも3つ買うとですね。
Man, you know it's shit when he's got to break into an analogy, right? He's got to make a fucking metaphor out of it. You guys be like, well, his batting average is okay, how do I say this? Let me say it in a metaphor so that way it's not as offensive when I tell you you suck.
それってつまり3割と。へえ、サトシ君って結構な高打率打者じゃないの。
打率は数字じゃないよミオン。ここ一番で打てなきゃ意味はないんだからさ。
サトシ君は自分で自分の弱点をそこまで分かっているなら、あとは練習あるのみですよ。
Ide signaled to the pitcher, who then threw the ball. Satoshi-kun looked calm, following the ball with his eyes, then he swung. Thwack. The ball flew between the first and second bases and landed in the distance.
やったー！パチパチパチパチパチ。
I clapped and Satoshi-kun blushed in response. He repositioned his helmet, dyed his face.
フリーバッティングや試合が平坦な時はかなり落ち着いたいいバッティングを見せてくれるんですけどね。
Ide smiled compassionately, seeing that Satoshi-kun really couldn't perform well when it counted. While he was usually good when everybody expected him to perform, he couldn't. I didn't think it was because of nervousness, he just couldn't do it. I think it's a perfect fit for Satoshi-kun's character. Seems calm at first glance, but he's actually slow.
スコアボードとかそういう数字上ではかなりの高アベ。本番に弱いってのは致命的かも。そんなことだからこないだの浮田ジャガーとの試合でもここ一番で凡退するんですよ。
うるさいな。気にしてるんだから。
あそこで打てればかなり美味しい見せ場だったんです。残念です。
Thanks, coach. A hit could have put the offense into the lead, or at least given them an extension. That was when Satoshi-kun came up to bat. Ide wanted him to live up to everybody's expectations, but statistically that wasn't likely to happen. Ide insisted on giving him a chance, in spite of the fact that all the team members had suggested a pinch hitter.
ああもうあそこで打てれば完璧なのにな。どうしてダメなんですか？
Why didn't you? Ma'am. What a thing to ask a fucking baseball player. Man, why didn't you hit the fucking ball? It's not as, it's like, I've played baseball before. It's not as easy as just deciding, oh, I'm going to hit this one. Oh, that one looks like it's gonna be a ball. I won't hit this one. Oh, this one looks like it'll be a very good one to hit. I'm going to hit this one. Like, no. Come on now. I get it, she's teasing him, but still.
どうしてああいう時に打てないんですか？
仕方ないよ。
Like, honestly, goddamn. I get you like teasing the guy, but fuck. Now you're just kind of preying on him. It's kind of coming off kind of bitchy, I'm not gonna lie. Like, there's a fine line between like, yo, teasing between friends and like you're kind of being a dick. Like,
僕がああいう時弱いの。僕だって代打を出してくれた方が。
試合に勝つかじゃなくてサトシ君が勝つかどうかが問題なんです。ああもうなんで当の本人にここまで闘争心がないのかな。普通は逆でしょ。代打に変えられそうなところをここは俺に打たせてくださいって食ってかかるとこでしょ。自分から代打を出してほしいなんて言い出すなんて。ああもう
I can't believe you wanted to make the decision that would be the smarter decision.
なんでここまで闘争心がないのかな。
それは私もまあその辺がサトシ君のいいところではあるんですが、
普段は紳士でも試合には鬼になる。男にはそういう二面性があってもとにかくサトシ君には鬼がない。 仮にもひなみ沢の人間なんだから、たまにはご先祖の鬼の血を思い出してって聞いてます、サトシ君。
Yeah, you know, when you kind of sit there and tell him he's nothing but a fuck up and a failure, like, God, especially considering, you know, where he's living in his current, you know, home life. Obviously, Shion wouldn't really know too much about that, but yeah, no, you're not gonna get him amped up and fired up. Like, clearly he's not one of those kind of guys that when you fucking, yo, lightly put him down, he's gonna get amped up. Like, no, I'm not pussy. I'll fucking show you. Like, no, you're sitting there be like, you suck, dude. What the fuck? This is awful. He's just sitting there like, yeah, I know. Like, yeah, honestly, I can't believe how much you're fucking sucking right now. Like, God, this is crazy how much you suck. Yep. Uh-huh. Like, I don't know what you're expecting to get at.
聞いてるよ。よくわかんないけど。
わかんないけどって、サトシ君の話をそれを、
Attaboy. Satoshi-kun suddenly started stroking my head. He looked delighted for some reason. I mean, that's what you get. You start acting like an asshole, he's gonna fucking flip the tables. A blush immediately spread across my face. I didn't know how to respond.
ミオンは僕のためありがとう。僕は頑張る。ごまかして嬉しいだけだよ。
I couldn't resist his hand. I couldn't help mumbling like he does. Satoshi-kun ran back to the field, leaving me red as a beet.
頭撫でられるの弱いんですか？
Don't you start, coach.
撫でる人により監督が撫でてきたら関節決めますんで、覚悟の。
Yeah.
じゃあ全員今日は出席もいいことですから、人数を分けて紅白戦をやってみましょう。
The Hinamizawa fighters are a sort of lazy team. Members gather simply to enjoy playing baseball, not to fight for victory. The Okonomiya Titans use this field too, but they practice on a different day of the week. They always train hard using dumbbells and stuff. Our team split into two groups and started a match, retaining their loose atmosphere.
じゃあ、私は記録でもやるかな。監督、どっかに鉛筆な。
いつもすみませんね。はい、これお願いしますね。
I took the pencil and the clipboard. I didn't know how to differentiate between recording hits and errors at first, but now I was used to it.
頑張ってー、サトシ君。あんまり応援するとまた打てなく。ほどほどに頑張れ。
Just do okay. Honestly, that'd be pretty fucking demoralizing in and of itself. So I was like, "Hey, go do your best." Actually, you know what? Just do okay. Just like kind of do average, I guess. Like, ouch, fuck, dude.
それはそれでひどいな。
No shit. Time passed slowly that Sunday. Huge white clouds appeared in the sky. Made me feel healthy. Humans are born to be active under the sun. One of the parents was acting as umpire today, so Irie sat on the bench with me. He shouted words of encouragement to the kids while they ran to their positions. Any other baseball coach would constantly berate them, but he was much more generous, like a kindergarten teacher. He let the kids have fun while watching over them. To other baseball players, might look like a little naive.
それでも、あの程度の練習量でみんなこれだけの動きができるんだから驚きですよね。
ひなみ沢の子はみんな普段から運動量は町の子とは比べ物にならないんですよ。変なフォームで固めてしまうより遊び感覚の方が伸びるんです。
おお、見事に沖宮タイタンズとは正反対の考え方。あちらの監督と対立するのわかる気がします。
タイタンズさんの考え、試合は勝つためにするものですからね。勝利至上主義は決して間違いじゃないです。みんなで団結して共通の目標を目指すのは、まあうちはその目標がたまたま勝利じゃないってだけのことです。
The Hinamizawa fighters and the Okonomiya Titans have been rivals for a long time. Both teams shared the same baseball field for one thing, and originally there was only one team, but the people living in Hinamizawa left and made their own. Anyhow, we were rivals. The Okonomiya Titans were strictly about winning, and the Hinamizawa fighters were just about having fun. Surprisingly, our scores weren't that different, which meant our team had something they didn't. Even though I couldn't put it into words, I knew what made that happen. Friendship.
ほら、赤組さんも頑張ってくださ
Still, some parents would criticize our coach for being too lenient, but still others would strongly agree with him. Which side should I take? The latter? I can't really say for sure. The reason for this was that Irie had an obnoxious habit of sexual harassment. Yes. Yes. In particular, he had a fascination with maids, but I should talk about that some other time. Satoshi-kun let the ball pass twice to see its trajectory, then hit it on the third pitch and ran to first base.
落ち着いてればさすがですよね。
最初はちょっと素振りしただけでそれを思えば本当に上達したものです。
サトシ君って文系って感じの人です。よくその彼が野球をやろうなんて思ったものですね。
All the other kids who joined the baseball team loved baseball. They go out to play in the fields outside of practice. That's why they all had an aptitude for it. But Sis never said that Satoshi-kun exercises intensively in school or anywhere else. He only likes to read. That's why I didn't understand why he started playing for this team to begin with.
それはですね。
へえ、監督が自らスカウトしたサトシ君に何かすごい素質があるのを見抜いて。
あ、すみません。麦茶をどうも。
Ide asked for tea in a suspicious manner. While I constantly joked around, I knew he was actually a very mature person. I assumed he was trying to evade my question. Yeah. Because we already knew from chapter 3 that Irie is well aware of what's going on in the Hojo household.
何か訳ありなんですか?
Irie pretended he didn't hear me, but I pressed him on it. In response, he shrugged and began answering the question.
園崎さんなら、あるいは想像がつくんじゃないかと。
Oh, really gonna show your ass here, aren't you, Shion? What would be me on Sonozaki's guess? I quickly searched through the data I had in Satoshi-kun. Came up with Satoshi-kun's family circumstances. He lost his parents in an accident a year ago. Since then, he's been having a tough time at his uncle's home.
じゃあ監督はサトシ君の鬱憤とかそういうのを解消させてあげようと思ってこのチーム
Okay,
に。
you did know more than I realized you did.
スポーツはいいですよ。程よく体を動かして汗をかくことはストレスの発散になります。
This is true.
また熱中することによってわずかな間でも家庭のことを忘れられるならそれは十分な気分転換になりますしね。
ほらサトシ君ってやっぱり相当ストレスあるんですか?
Is he still stressed? Yeah. I knew Satoshi-kun must be suffering even though he didn't look like it. But Mion Sonozaki never pays attention to things like that, and I had to act like she does.
おじさんに引き取られて少ししてからいろんな症状を訴えるんですが、いくら調べても原因がはっきりしないんですよ。
Satoshi-kun often got sick. After he was taken into his uncle's custody, he suffered from fatigue and migraines. He suffered from a lack of energy and sleeplessness. The coach, Dr. Irie, soon realized Satoshi-kun was suffering from a psychological disorder. Most of the people in Yamazawa knew how bad Satoshi-kun's environment was. It was natural for him to become sick because he entered that bad environment right after his parents' deaths.
サトシ君は感情の爆発ができないタイプなんですよ。泣いたりとか怒ったりとか、そういう感情が人一倍苦手なんです。
確かにサトシ君が泣いたりとか怒ったりってのはあまり。
サトシ君のお母さんが再婚を重ねてるのは
まあ少しは。
Satoshi-kun's mother had married a number of men over the years. That means Satoshi-kun had several stepfathers. He had to deal with strangers coming into his home multiple times, so he was forced to be mature.
サトシ君は精神的に早熟、本人は自覚していないでしょうがね。泣いたり笑ったりダダをこねたり、そういう時代をあっという間に卒業させられて大人になっちゃったんです。
監督の言い方だと
子供は子供らしく過ごすことで成長していくようにできているんです。それを無理に大人にしたらやっぱりいいことはないですよ。
Not only was Satoko's current relationship with her aunt conspicuously terrible, I heard that her relationships with her previous stepfathers weren't good either. Satoko always caused problems, and Satoshi-kun would always step in to protect her.
だからサトシ君の体に変調が出たのはそういうことに体が耐えかねた SOS じゃないかって思ったんです。
That's why Irie invited Satoshi-kun onto the baseball team. He told Satoshi they needed a new member, or something like that.
初めは渋ってました。彼と診療の際にいろいろとお話しするうちに少しずつ打ち解けていきましてね。ちょっと見学だけにでも来てみるといい、ちょっとバットを持ってみるといいなんて感じで少しずつ誘っていったんですよ。
Sports worked excellently for Satoshi-kun. His health quickly improved and he started to become interested in baseball. He practiced batting, he was soon able to swing beautifully, and he learned how to see the trajectory of the ball.
なんかわかるな。サトシくんってコツコツタイプですからね。How to Baseball なんて本をしおり挟みながら読んでる風景が想像できます。
それであれよあれよという間に本当によく頑張りました。これでピンチの時にも打てれば完璧なんですけどね。
サトシくんと監督って仲いいんですか？
悪くはないと思って、悩みとかそういうのを打ち明けてくれたということは私を信頼してくれたからだと思ってます。
I felt a bit jealous of how confidently Irie said that. While Satoshi-kun and I were friends, we weren't so close that we'd open up to each other like that.
あれ？嫉妬してます？
何に？
Taken aback, I blushed. Irie started laughing at
園
me.
崎さんもサトシ君のそう
まあ慣れるなって。
I didn't know what I was saying.
サトシ君ですね。最近また少し体調を崩してるみたいなんです。
え？
Oh, the ball flew to the left. But the left fielder managed to catch it. It seemed that the relationship between Satoko and her aunt had gotten worse lately. It was obvious his sickness had something to do with
おば
that.
さんがかなり大人げないいじめ方をしているらしいんです。サトコちゃん、本当にかわいそうなくらいに何しろ。
で、それをかばうサトシくんもボロボロになっているということですね。
I wasn't interested in Satoko, so I switched the subject back to Satoshi-kun. Man, fuck you. God damn, don't be such a dick. Fuck. I don't care about the problems of his sister, I just want to know about him. Like, God, you suck. God damn it, I don't like you, Shion. Fucking douchebag. I don't know much about Satoko. I know that she was a big part of Satoshi-kun's life, but never been interested in her until today. She must have been building up self-esteem and taking care of her unreliable brother. That was all I knew about her. But considering Satoshi-kun's personality, even that goofiness of his might have been an act. Maybe he was trying to make her feel good about herself by letting her take care of him, if only unconsciously. When he's alone, he's surprisingly strong. I realized that only recently. So I couldn't help but think that his whole life is constantly affected by Satoko. Satoshi-kun managed to get along with his stepfathers even though he experienced some stress. He was even getting along with his aunt. But in order to protect Satoko, he always had to step in and suffer. I swear to God, if you try to fucking twist this shit to make Satoko sound like a burden, Shion, I swear to fucking God. I didn't really know anything about Satoko, but I had to admit, I felt hostile towards her. Fuck you. Fuck you. I swear to fucking God, Shion. If you did anything to fuck over Satoko, I swear to God. I already fucking hate you, but god damn it, I swear to Christ. If you were somehow responsible for anything, even indirectly, anything that fucking made Satoko's situation even worse, I would be so fucking pissed. I swear to God. I felt jealous because she was monopolizing him. Oh, I hate you kind of bitches. I hate you kind of bitches. God forbid a man want to fucking show some love to his sister. God forbid. Oh, you're spending all that time with your sister? You're not spending enough time with me, though. Bitch, go bite the fucking curb. Fuck you. Oh. 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 God damn. Of course. Of course you fucking managed to make me fucking dislike you even more than I did. Why should I be surprised? Here I was going into this thinking the game was going to try to put in work to, like, change my perception of Shion, much like with, Satoko in Chapter 3. Like, oh, we're going to put Shion at the forefront. We're gonna turn that perception around. You may not like her as much, but we're gonna flip the script. No. They really subverted my expectations by being like, hey, we know you guys don't like Shion that much, but what if we made her even worse? You know how we made her like, we know how we kind of made you feel really sympathetic towards Satoko in the previous like main story chapter. Well, how about in this one, we make this character that you already were kind of iffy on antagonistic towards that character you're sympathetic towards. What if we did that? Like, well, now I'm sitting here thinking, damn, I wish Mion did worse to you in chapter 2. That's what I'm thinking. Fuck. She hasn't even done anything either. These are just like her inner feelings, but the fact that I just know something's gonna fucking happen. I just know. It's gonna piss me off so fucking much. I just know something's gonna happen. I just know. Because Shion's a little fucking shit. Alright? I just know. I just fucking know.
最近さとこちゃんへのおばさんのいじめがサトシ君の体調不良もそれに比例しているんでしょうね。
Ide heaved a heavy sigh. As he said, Satoshi-kun had been absent a few times lately. Seemed a bit tired too. He looked normal when around everybody else, but he looked a bit depressed when he was alone.
監督はストレスに押しつぶされそうなサトシ君を救うため野球。
ええ、そのつもりでした。
こうして野球をやっている今、またストレスに押しつぶされそうになっているサトシ君に
どうすればいいんでしょうね。
Ide smiled powerlessly. He couldn't help feeling a bit disappointed about that because Satoshi-kun put his trust in him.
内緒に実はですね、チームを抜けたいってそう漏らすんですよ。
どうして？
Probably to focus on shit at home because he wants to protect his sister. Oh wait, no. It's the part-time job. That's right. Which, I mean, it is still connected to his sister, right? But yeah, no, he wants the part-time job so he can save up the money to buy the gift for his sister.
疲れるからというのはさとこちゃんと一緒にいる時間を増やしてあげるためじゃないかと思
Or
っ
it
て
could
い
just be
ま
that
す。
as well.
サトシ君は野球をしている間、さとこちゃんがおばさんにいじめられているかもしれな
A
い。
very fair concern to have, I'd say.
その時、さとこちゃんのそばにいられないことが兄として。
Yeah, now Shion's gonna be like, oh, but if he's not at baseball practice, I lessen my chances to actually see him. Oh no, what about me though? What about me and my situation? Oh no, what about me? Cause it's all about me, isn't it, Shion? It's all about you, huh? This dude's over here telling you that like this guy who cares deeply for his little sister, and his sister's being fucking tormented in this household, and he wants to like make sure he's at home to keep her safe. And you're over here like, oh, but that's less time with me. Then I'm gonna be in my apartment by myself. Oh, isn't that just awful though? Oh, but then I'm gonna be in an apartment by myself. Isn't that torment in and of itself? What about me? Fuck you. Go chomp a brick. I was left speechless for a while. Satoko again. Fuck you. Don't you dare speak ill on my goat like that. I'll end you. Satoko. Yeah. Why is Sasha gonna have to sacrifice so much for her? Because he's a decent fucking person. Maybe I'm a bit biased having a couple younger sisters myself, but hey, fuck you. Just by ignoring her, his stress would melt away. I will fucking end you. Of course, I knew he couldn't do that. If that were the case, then the blame lay with his little sister. I will fucking kill you. I knew how badly she'd been treated. That only happened because she made things worse for herself. Oh, bitch. Oh, bitch. Oh, bitch, you're lucky you're fictional. Oh, bitch. Oh, bitch. Oh, I want to start swinging, bitch. You did not. Oh, bitch. Oh, we victim blaming now. Is we? Oh, bitch. Oh, bitch. Mmm. 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 Oh. Oh no. Oh no. You got Nah, you got me antsy now. You got me fucking squaring up now. Come on. Come on. Nah, let's go. I don't give a fuck what gender you is. I'm throwing hands. Let's go. Step the fuck up. You want to talk with big words? Hope you can walk the big walk. Come on. Don't you dare speak on my little homie like that. Oh, I ain't even reading that one. Fuck you. Oh, nah. Get over here. Fuck, bam, bam, bam. Fuck you. God damn, I'm getting pissed. I'm getting fucking pissed. I'm getting fucking pissed. At least with Keiichi, right? When I was getting pissed at Keiichi, it's just because he was a desperate dipshit who doesn't know any better, right? He's a dumbass, but he wasn't being malicious about it. This bitch, she's being a selfish fucking dickhole. Oh. Oh. Mmm. 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 Oh, if Satoko were more mature, bitch, what? She's like 12, 13? She shouldn't have to be mature at 12 or 13. She's a fucking kid. Fucking lose my mind. Get me out of this bitch's head. I don't want to hear her inner monologue. Get me out of here. Get me the fuck out of here. I never thought I'd be saying I miss Keiichi, but fucking Christ. Oh my god. Oh my god. Oh my god. Oh. Oh, you're pissing me off something fierce. Oh. Oh. In the meantime, the baseball team's practice match had become one-sided. It wasn't even worth watching anymore. The members of the losing team were just goofing off. The sky had turned cloudy too. It was depressing. It didn't look like it'd rain soon, though. The gray sky hadn't brought along any cool air. It just felt disgusting. Idiot became quiet. He was looking down around his feet. I, meanwhile, just stared at Satoshi-kun. I'll fucking blind you, bitch. To me, he didn't look active anymore. He was once able to enjoy playing baseball, and he felt fine. But he got sick again. Just because... I couldn't help but say it.
サトシ君をどうこうするってより、サトコをどうこうする方が先決では。
Idiot, kill this girl. It was just a murmur, but Idiot definitely caught it.
それはどういう意味ですか？
別に難しい話じゃないです。
And see, that's gonna fucking tip Idiot off something's going on, because Mion would not say some shit like that about Satoko. Mion would not say some shit like that about Satoko. That's why Mion's the fucking goat, and you aren't even fit to be the dirt beneath my fucking shoes. Oh.
サトコがしっかりしてくれれば、サトシ君に迷惑をかけることもない。
End this bitch, Idiot. I never thought I'd be turned to Idiot for support. I always say this actually when we're in these situations. Whenever we need to rely on Idiot for something, I'm always like, I don't want to rely on you, but I'm gonna have to on this one. Like, he does end up being reliable. It's just, I hate the fact that he sexualizes kids, alright? But like, fuck. Like, I'm gonna need you on this one, Idiot. I'm gonna need you to come through and, like, you know, put this fucking worthless bitch in her place. I know what you're thinking, like, oh, if Satoko's still young, you gotta understand that Shion's still young. No. No, I don't give a fuck. I don't give a fuck. I don't give a fuck.
サトコがそもそもの原因であるってことを言いたいだけです。
End her. Idiot, please. Backhand this girl.
そんなことは。
Kill her. Kill her. I don't know if I can do this, gang. I don't know if I can do this, gang. What do you mean she's got like triple the word count that she's had before, you know? That, like they mentioned in the fucking all cast review section of the previous chapter. What do you mean she's like, my brother in Christ, I'm like fucking 2.5 hours deep in this chapter. 2.5 hours deep. We still got so much more ground to cover, and I'm ready to start swinging. I'm ready to start swinging. Ooh.
でしょ？
Actually, I'm right.
だってサトコがトラブるからサトシ君はそのでその結果本当は買わなくて済んだおばの喧嘩まで買ってるわけでしょ？
Satoshi-kun never got scared of any trouble. See what? And that's another thing. You speaking on like you know this dude so well, right? Like you know him so well. You don't fucking know him like that. You had a couple interactions with him out grocery shopping. You go watch his baseball games, and the whole time you're pretending to be someone else, right? You don't know him like that. I like Satoshi-kun never got scared of any trouble. You don't know him like that. Don't act like you know, homeboy. I need someone to drop this. I need Satoshi to walk over and be like, and fucking say something. Like he overhears that and just fucking, I don't know, does something. Doesn't have to be violent. I'm not trying to advocate violence against women or children or female children, but like, goddamn, someone needs to do something, say something, make her realize what a fucking asshole she is. God damn it. Eat the fucking dirt. Ah. No matter how formidable the enemy, he'd bravely stand up to protect the weak. What do you think he's doing? I knew that because I could vividly imagine it. Whenever their aunt chided Satoko, Satoshi-kun steps in to protect her. The aunt probably didn't like it. Though Satoshi-kun didn't have to fight, the aunt would attack him anyway. The fight would be between the aunt and him. Satoko might then tease the aunt by sticking out her tongue, hiding behind his back, pretending to be scared. Oh, so now you're just making shit up. Oh, now you just make you fucking coming up with some delusional ideas because you got a grudge against the girl for hogging the guy you got a crush on. And now you just making shit up. You just making shit up. Oh, she teases him and pretends to be scared. Oh, bitch. One to your gut, one to your dome. One to your gut, one to your dome. Fucking goddamn it. Fellas. Fellas, I'm gonna fucking lose my shit. I think I've already lost my shit, quite honestly, actually. Oh, you're pissing me off so fucking much. Oh, she'd never think about, talking on someone you won't even know. You ain't never met the girl. You don't know the girl. Talking on some, She'd never think about it. Yeah, no, it's not like it's like the biggest thing she fucking thinks about or anything. Victim blaming. Fucking doing this victim blaming bullshit. Cause that's the thing. I had to deal with plenty of motherfuckers like this fucking going through the shit I went through. And why'd you make your stepdad angry? Why didn't you just do what he says? Why didn't you just make him happy? Bitch. Instead of finding issue with the adult, the grown-ass adult who's taking their anger out on children, you're blaming the fucking child?
園崎さん、あなたはさとこちゃんのお姉さん的な立場、普段も学校で、なのに正直驚いています。
Irie looked at me suspiciously. I could tell what he was thinking about me. I'd said too much. Mion Sonozaki and Satoko Hojo are friends. Yeah, they're fucking besties. And you're overreacting like a cunt. They're close, so Mion should have been encouraging her. After the situation at home got tougher, that's what Mion was supposed to do. I had totally forgot about that and spoken as myself. It's only natural that Irie would give me a suspicious look. Might end up changing his impression of me and Sonozaki entirely. I'd have to apologize to her about this and ask her to put things right. I totally messed up. Even so, I didn't think I'd said anything wrong. Oh, bitch! I'd objectively, there's nothing objective about what you said. Your entire perception is clouded and biased because you want to fucking get busy with Homeboy. Because you want Homeboy to be stroking your head and giving you attention. So anyone who's potentially robbing you of attention is the op. Oh no, but I'm looking objectively. Oh, and a modest proposal. Hey, modest proposal? Why don't we just get rid of his sister? I feel like that's the modest take on this. I feel like that's a modest proposal. Bitch. Oh, bitch. Fuck, dude. Oh, motherfucker. Oh. Yeah, no, you were afraid he might leave the team. Bitch, stop acting like you give a fuck about the team. You don't give a fuck about the team. You're afraid you won't get to see him as much because you're a selfish bitch. I couldn't go to school in Hinamizawa, so the baseball field was the only place where I could see him. I could even say that he was my reason for living. You don't even know the motherfucker. He's my reason for living. Because he's like, what, the first friendly face you saw once you got to Okanomiya? Because he fucking gave you some fucking physical contact every now and again? He's my reason for living. Then bitch, why didn't you die with him? Fuck. Why you have to bother Keiichi at all? When Satoshi left, you should have fucking left too. Make the world a fucking better place. God damn it. That's right. I was in love with him. You don't even fucking know him. I wasn't going to tell him how I felt, for I was satisfied just being by his side. I certainly couldn't ask for anything more. Except you are. I couldn't ask for anything more. I just wish, he'd give me his attention that... The attention that he gives to his sister. Like, that's all I'm asking for. After all, I couldn't reveal my true identity. I had to pretend to be Mio in order to live in Okanomiya. I thought that maybe I should leave Okanomiya in order to be free. God, if only. But that's stupid. No matter how tough my life might be, I'd prefer to be here, with Satoshi-kun stroke my head every now and then. Why did I love him that much? Fuck, probably because you were never loved that much as a child. If I had to wager a guess. Probably because you grew up feeling hated because you were the second child to pop out your mom. If we want to play armchair psychologist here, like, that's probably why. You weren't loved as much as a kid. No one really showed you much affection. So someone steps in and does show you affection. All of a sudden, you're fucking latch on to him. If I had to wager a guess. I read about it in some manga once. You don't need a reason to be in love. Well, then that means it's kind of like... It's bullshit. It's not... No reason? No. Fuck you and your manga. I don't know, whatever. You're probably reading some fucking... I'm not saying shoujo manga is ridiculous. Okay, first and foremost. She was probably reading a ridiculous shoujo manga. Not saying all shoujo manga are ridiculous, alright? I fuck with some shoujo mangas, alright? Not downplaying shoujo mangas, alright? It's fine. Alright, not downplaying romance mangas, alright? But I know you had to have gotten that idea from some bullshit, alright? I was surprised at myself being like this. I breathed out slowly, then held my breath. Trying to slow my throbbing heart. I felt a bit calmer. At that point, a clear thought came into my head. I want to be with Satoshi-kun. So? I want him to stay on the team. So? I want to get rid of his concerns and his stress. And see, if your heart was in the right place, I'd say that's an admirable fucking thing. His concerns and his stress stem from his abusive caretaker, from his abusive guardian. That's the concern. That's the stress. But no, you're targeting the fucking poor girl he sticks up for. Ugh. Oh. Oh. So what? So, what can I do to achieve all that? My head started to cool down as I heard the umpire shout. Oh, thank God. Oh, thank God we are done with this section. Oh my God. Oh my fucking God. I'm gonna lose. I've already lost. What am I talking about? I'm gonna lose my mind. I've already lost my fucking mind. Some days I see him and some days I don't. A clear sky gets cloudy and rain will always stop eventually. I thought his absence was just like that, but he was actually on the verge of breakdown. All right. Well, thankfully I have to wrap it up there. This isn't even me cutting it early because I'm fucking pissed. I genuinely have to wrap it up there. So, glad we saved the bullshit for the very end. But yeah, no, I'm gonna hate this chapter, aren't I? I'm gonna hate I'm sure story-wise it's going to be a good chapter. All right, I'm sure well, I guess I can't guarantee that. 'Cause, I mean, there were some chapters from even some episodes in like Umineko wasn't quite favorable of, but I still love the story as a whole. Who knows? This might be the one in the series that just really fucking pushes me a step too far. Like, see, I like chapter 3. Keiichi pissed me off in it, but I do like chapter 3. As it was told very well. I like it. So, like I said, we're only like, 2.5 hours, 2 hours 45, roughly 3 hours into this chapter. There's still time for it to turn around and wow me as a good story, for sure. But I'm gonna fucking hate the way it makes me feel. I could already fucking tell. If I have to deal with more of this fucking victim blaming bullshit, which I'm sure I'm going to, I'm sure Shion's not gonna magically have a fucking change of heart in this, little scene transition. But holy fuck, I might just end up taking almost another week off from recording again. I don't want to do that. But I might just have to because I know I'm gonna get upset. I know I'm gonna get upset like the moment I fucking start recording again. Because at least like after Keiichi's bullshit in chapter 3, the shit that like really fucking irritated me, like once we actually got back into the story, it was like I was able to put that behind me and just like focus on what was happening. I know there's gonna be no more bullshit. I know there's gonna be more bullshit. Because obviously the situation with Satoshi and Satoko is going to get worse. I know there's going to be more bullshit. Unless the only way Shion can turn this around, right, is if Shion is the one to bash in that bitch's brains. If Shion is the one who takes the extra step and takes out and like, bro, maybe that's like the deal she makes to be able to enter Hinamizawa. Imagine like I'm saying, right? The Sonozakis get pissed that Shion's out there wandering around doing whatever she does. Eventually she gets found out. They get the drop on her, but she's given a compromise. You do this, we'll let you walk around freely in Okonomiya. We'll let you enter Hinamizawa. And she thinks it's a great deal. Because, right, she's going to be in that same mindset that Keiichi was in, of like, oh, we just get rid of her and their problems go away. But then, who knows, maybe Satoshi finds out that Shion's a murderer, right? He finds out what she did. He tries to confront her on it. They get into an altercation. And, like, honestly, I could see it being something where he accidentally ends up dead. Like, she doesn't kill him, but like they get into an altercation, they start arguing about it, like, oh, I did this all for you, blah blah blah, and then like something happens, there's some kind of accident, right, and he ends up dead. I could see it happening. I could see it. That's why he just like mysteriously disappeared one day, right? He went to go buy the gift for Satoko, and he runs into Shion. Something happens. There's some kind of incident. I could see it. I could see it. Maybe I'm just, and that's, and see, even in this hypothetical started out with me saying like Shion could potentially redeem herself by being the one to take out the ant. But the more I think about it, it's like, but then she wouldn't redeem herself if she's the one who killed Satoshi or had a hand in his death, right? Then you're still not redeeming yourself. So like, honestly, I don't know. All I know is I'm fucking pissed. I'm fucking upset. My fucking muscles are so fucking tensed up right now, dude. Oh, yeah, I need to be done. So like I said, I'm gonna wrap this one up here. Thank you for watching, and hopefully I'll see y'all in the next one. Until then, peace.